RantCast! Yeah! It's time for the RantCast. Welcome, one and all, to the RantCastPodcast, Episode 4. A wizard should know better. Well, it is with heavy heart that I announce today the RantCast is a solo show. But only for this episode and for the moment. Certainly, if you are watching us on YouTube, it is not live. But if you're watching us on Twitch, twitch.tv/TheRantCast podcast, not just the RantCast anymore, but the RantCast podcast, it is a live show. And you can go to the HeroQuest fans Discord channel, which you'll see the address in the bottom of the image there. It's discord.gg/2 uppercase R 9 lowercase p uppercase E uppercase P 4 lowercase c lowercase t lowercase y. Go into Quest Talk voice channel and you can interact with us live, where we talk about games and media, things that we're passionate about. But yeah, today is a solo show. Strange Bus has informed me that he may not be able to attend for a while. I mean, he'll show up here and there when he can, but his schedule's kind of busy, so we don't fault him for that. He's got things to do, important things to consider. So I'm grateful that he's taken us this far, and I'm grateful for all of our guests. I also want to thank everybody who's supported us over on HeroQuest fans, especially because we've gotten over 200 followers on Twitch now for HeroQuest fans, and we've gotten over 500 subscribers on YouTube, XSC3, home of HeroQuest fans. So thanks a lot for that. And actually, the Strange Bus is coming back. So the Strange Bus Twitch channel was closed, or he closed it voluntarily, and then he's coming back. It's called something else now. It's called, I'm gonna get it wrong, like Video Game Theater and Music, I think. Let me see if I can get the correct address. Video Game Theater and Music, yep. So let me change my graphics here. And thanks for joining us on the RantCast podcast. All right, let's get rid of this. Now, we do focus a lot on things that make us angry, but it's not all anger. It's not all bad. And there's definitely some good to be. Okay, yeah, so we are live on Twitch, and just wanted to show you a couple things here that I was working on before we get into the RantCast rants. So camera, there we go. So this, of course, is the Mage of the Mirror elf from HeroQuest, the new remake pack. This is the elf from the Mythic box that I've actually painted. Yeah, that's good enough. And then here's the barbarian, female barbarian. And I just used Krylon spray paint. So this is like satin jade, I believe. I can get you the actual color names if you're interested. We're talking all kinds of painting on the HeroQuest fans Discord. Turned out pretty well, and it feels nice. It's got a gloss to it, and it's much better than just brushing it on. So I like the way it turned out. And then the female barbarian, I actually missed a spot here. You can see there's a little bit of red on the shield. So that could be a little better. But I think it looks much better than the brush job I did. And actually, it's funny because I brushed on gloss varnish. Well, satin varnish, it looks kind of gloss. And it ended up looking pretty similar. But the nice thing about this hard coat of paint, I mean, it's not even lacquered or anything, but I can push that into the candy trays, and I don't have to worry about, like, when I pull it out again, it's gonna, any of it's gonna rub off or smudge or anything like that. Same with this. And this is going into the Mythic, or it's the game system box that I came with the Mythic tier. I should say the Mythic box is its own box, but I mean, I have the pledge version of HeroQuest, not to brag or anything, but I mean, it really clips in there, and you got to pull it out really hard, but it's fine. So yeah. Anyway, just wanted to share I'm doing that. And then of course when we're actually playing, you can tell the difference instantly, which is which, and you can still tell they're heroes because they're a different color, different shade of blue or green from the rest of the figures. But anyway, it's just kind of a nostalgic thing, and it's a funny nostalgic thing because I didn't own Mage of the Mirror or Frozen Horror back then, but I still wanted to kind of like recreate what it looked like. I mean, I also spray painted the ogres dark blue, even though they were gray, and gray is just kind of boring. So anyway, all right, so let's get that out of there. So a wizard should know better, and of course we're talking about Wizards of the Coast, WotC, WOTC, a wholly owned subsidiary of Hasbro Gaming Incorporated, or whatever their official name is, Hasbro. Anyway, Wizards of the Coast responsible for Dungeons and Dragons and the whole fiasco, the debacle with one D&D, D&D Beyond, and the OGL. And of course, we had two RantCast podcast episodes, one with iCareth, one with Strange Bus, talking about just the fallout, just the fans just being absolutely enraged, to say the least, about the implications of this leaked document, talking about what they were planning to do. It just seemed very greedy, very controlling, very grasping, and really just backing out on all this goodwill that they'd built up for 20 years of allowing people to take the D&D system, make their own game out of it, and even sell it, you know. And just, I mean, before the whole debacle, I knew some things about it, but I hadn't really done a ton of research. And just realizing that, I think one of the guys was telling me that it was like 70% of the profit that Hasbro was getting these days was connected to the Wizards of the Coast stuff. And I was like, wow, really? So Dungeons and Dragons, Magic the Gathering, it's like a huge moneymaker for the company. So it meant a lot that they were alienating that many fans. And again, as we talked about, you had people from all ends of the political spectrum, people from all walks of life, you know, and it wasn't just like super hardcore gamers, it was like casual players and like just there's so much money tied up in Dungeons and Dragons these days, but it means a lot to a lot of people. So it's I don't know if it's on the level of like Star Wars, but it's pretty high up there. I mean, if you make a drastic change to something like that, you're going to offend a lot of people, and that means potentially you're going to lose a lot of money. So there was a lot of celebrations online, and a lot of people walked away and probably will never come back to it. I mean, I think they lost a lot of people to Paizo's Pathfinder, which was one of those games that was a spin-off, started off as a spin-off, from my understanding, of Dungeons and Dragons, and then became its own thing. This whole orc license, I don't know as much about that, but people were already going into alternatives for D&D. People were already leaving. People were already on their way out because of other issues over the years. And this was kind of like the last straw. So first they had the press releases where they were saying, oh, well, you know, the fans didn't win. We won too, and everybody won. And people didn't like to hear that. There was a lot of backlash for that too. And then they had the 1.2 license, OGL, open game license, and that was bashed relentlessly as well. People were saying, well, they made very few changes, and it was pretty much the same old garbage once again. Which was to say, just like these game companies have been doing, which is to say, yeah, you can make mods of our game. Aren't we nice to let you make mods? But guess what? We own it, and we can profit from it. We can take it away, and we can shut it down. And if we think it's in any way offensive, keeping that, you know, as vague as possible, we can just like eliminate it, and we get all the benefit and none of the risk, and you just lose everything. And so that rubbed people the wrong way. So eventually, and this is all online, you can read it in excruciating detail, is that they decided, okay, fine, were going to release stuff under the Creative Commons license. So I read some of it, and it was just, okay, here's a generic um, like list of like character traits and stats and things for like dwarves and elves and clerics and warriors and or fighters or wizards or whatever. And so it was like, oh, okay. So they're saying this is stuff that you can use and you can tinker with it, modify it, make your own thing, and they're not going to go after you. So there was one article I was looking at, and again, I'm not an expert on the subject, so someone could write a well-written article and it would just seem very convincing. Maybe some other person who's really deep into the lore, into the history, and knows the legalese could say, no, 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 wrong, wrong, wrong. It's actually this. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. But one of the articles I was looking at, I was talking about the key differences between D&D and Pathfinder's planned OGLs. This is on Screen Rant. So let me just grab the browser here again. Yeah, so this article here. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it seems like there's a lot of considerations. So you're going to have a different experience following one versus the other. Open gaming licenses. Yeah, and I can't pretend that I know about the Creative Commons, what that means, but I guess there's certain things you can do with it. It's like your rights and responsibilities are spelled out in these documents. There's videos. Okay, yeah, there's a lot to it. Oh, but this other article I was going to look at, OGL creator, co-creator, Wizards picked the wrong CC license for D&D. So what they were claiming in this article, and this is on wargamer.com, that the particular Creative Commons Attribution 4.0 International License, CC BY 4.0, this one guy was saying, well, they picked the wrong one because if you, to boil it down, the way I understand it is if you use the license to make your own D&D inspired game, you could make it basically closed source. So like no one can take your modified game and modify it into something else. Whereas what they could have done is made this license so open that yeah, you make a mod, someone makes a mod of your mod, and it's endless. Because I think the deal was that if you were going to try to make money off of their property, they had a stake in it, and they could shut you down if they wanted to. But there's free mods and then there's paid mods essentially. So yeah, you could use D&D to make your own game, sell it, and then decide, well, I don't want anybody else to be able to modify my mod, so just close it off. But they're saying, well, but who would do that? The type of person that would make the mod in the first place probably wouldn't, but they could, I guess. So anyway, but it seems like the fans won when it comes to D&D. It seems like the fans got what they wanted, which was to basically don't break what's already, or don't fix what's already not broken, which is you had all these other complaints about D&D. Every time there's a new edition, people are like, I don't like what they did, or they're trying to be political, or they're trying to nickel and dime fans, or whatever. Um, I don't know. They're just creating a certain kind of cultural ethos where it's like some people just like, nah, it's not for me. I just want to do this with your game and that's it. Or I want to go back to this old edition that I liked better. And that was the story of Pathfinder, which was it was more like an older edition that was more popular with a lot of people. Kind of makes me think of some of these games that I've played over the years. It's like, okay, when Halo 4 came out, a lot of people were like, "Yes, this is great, the new Halo game. It's the greatest thing ever." And then other people are like, "Yeah, but there's a lot of stuff in Halo 3 that's still kind of better than this game. So I'm going to go back and play that. And, they could have just said, well, screw you guys, you can't have it. We're just going to shut down the servers and you can't play that anymore, but you can play the new game. And actually, in a way, let's see. Yeah, 343 Studios did kind of do that. They did kind of shut down the servers, but they did it for all the old games. And it's all the next gen, like Xbox One and onward stuff. But the nice thing about that, though, is that you can still play with your friends. You can still have private matches, private games for the old Halo, like on the Xbox 360, which is what I do because I was never like I didn't play the game long enough to be like so good that I could just join any random server and just like dominate people. Instead, it'd be just like I would be at the very bottom, and it would be very difficult to get any kills or anything in a game. So I'd rather just say, hey, you want to play some Halo? Get online, let's play. But yeah, the fact that you can still do that. So with a game that's no longer the latest, hottest thing, you can just go ahead and just play it whatever you want. It's like you can obtain the materials, you can play the game. And just like with HeroQuest, I mean, the fans, kept it alive for 3 decades without any support from the company. And D&D is the same way. I mean, Wizards of the Coast could go away, Hasbro could go bankrupt, completely disappear from the face of the earth, and the franchise would live on through people just playing their own games and sharing their own stuff, their own homebrew things, and I think that's great. They're going to have some like team of lawyers chasing them down saying you can't do that. You got to pay us. So, I think it's a great thing for the fans and I'm really happy for them. I'm not a D&D fan. I didn't feel like I had a big stake in it. My thought was more like what can happen to one can happen to all. So this will affect not just other Hasbro brands like HeroQuest, but it would also affect potentially all of gaming. I mean, one big company. I mean, we talked about a little bit in one of the RantCasts about Tencent and about how these investment companies like just start getting like they get enough money going behind these projects and they can basically have a lot of influence. Even if they don't own a company outright, they can have a controlling influence on it. And so it may just be a lot of companies deciding, well, my competitors are all doing the shady, crappy practice, so I'm going to do it too to keep myself competitive. Or it could be just, yeah, you have the same people paying you, and so you just kind of use the same shady tactics that everybody uses. It's really gross. But it's like, okay, so if you want to play one of the top video games, you're going to have the same problems with like censorship and microtransactions and spyware and all this stuff and no physical media and all those problems. But then with the board games industry, you're going to have the same thing. So if the biggest board game company decides to start doing it, well, what chance does anybody else have? On the other hand, Paizo, the makers of Pathfinder, sees the opportunity to say, oh, we're not going to treat you like that. We're going to treat you better. We're going to do this other thing. So they launched their own open gaming license. And it was like, okay, well, great, a perfect opportunity. So Hasbro has to learn a lesson. Like, okay, so if we want to stay competitive, rather than trying to sue them into the ground and trying to stop them, we've got to make our own product better. And so they're going back to the way things are. Now, a lot of people are still suspicious, still a little skeptical. It's like, okay, well, you tried this, you tried it again. How do we know you aren't going to try this again in another few years, after we've gone back to sleep or we not paying attention? So a lot of people are like, you know what? I'm just gone for good. For me personally, I mean, I wasn't sure how it was going to happen. And after hearing everybody out, I was thinking, okay, fine. You know what? I need to, get behind these people and I'm not going to support HeroQuest, even though that really hurts me because I really like HeroQuest and I want to support it because I think they are treating us right. The fans from the guys at Avalon Hill are treating the HeroQuest fans right. But the parent company, Hasbro, is allowing Wizards of the Coast to screw over so many fans. I thought that's not right. So I'll put my money where my mouth is and withdraw my support. But then they seem to have reversed themselves. I thought, okay, well, I guess I'm back in again. I mean, I wouldn't buy one D&D, but I mean, I was seriously looking at the Pathfinder books. I was on Amazon. I was like, I wonder how much they cost. Oh, $25. Interesting. I have a bunch of Pathfinder miniatures. I don't use them to play Pathfinder. I use them for proxies for my HeroQuest, my Homebrew stuff. But you know, uh, it's just it's a token gesture. I mean, you can't boycott something if you weren't going to buy it in the first place. But I mean, that HeroQuest stuff, it's back on the menu for me. For some people, they may have a different opinion. But yeah, Rise of the Dread Moon is supposed to come out this year. And actually, Twitter Zargon has been dropping a lot of hints. So let's go on to our next topic. Actually, before we get to that, I guess I didn't put in the HeroQuest Power Hour because that was always the thing. We did the HeroQuest Power Hour and we just talked about that for a while. But let's get a topic here. Let's see, just get my little paper. Okay, so HeroQuest. So the future of HeroQuest, yeah, we'll just move it up like that. Yeah, the future of HeroQuest seems bright right now. So first of all, the company's back in my good graces for now, and so I'm good supporting them. The Guardian Knight that everyone was upset was an exclusive, through GameStop. Gosh, I haven't made that mistake in a while. So GameSpot is a game review webpage, like a magazine, and then GameStop, of course, is a store that's kind of fallen on hard times these days. But anyway, the whole thing with that was the Guardian Knights were so limited that hardly anybody who wanted them was able to get them. And scalpers bought them up, and to this day, they're just ridiculously overpriced online. And it's basically impossible for a normal person to get them. Because it's like, why would you pay $250 for 2 miniatures and a couple of cards? That's ridiculous. So the fact that they're putting a version of the Guardian Knight, which I actually think is a cooler version because he's got the cool helmet. It's like, why can't heroes have helmets? In the Rise of the Dread Moon box is a great start. The fact that that former exclusive is coming back to retail is a big deal. And I see we've got Ribby. Hey, welcome.
Guardian Knights, huh?
Yeah. Sorry, I was looking down, so I didn't see how long you've been standing there. But
Just a couple seconds.
okay, welcome to the RantCast. Yeah. Great. Yeah.
Man, Guardian Knights that's a tough one, man, because they were sold out, within a day?
Within a day. Yeah.
So who could even get them? I mean, it was impossible.
Nobody. Yeah. And I own 3 of them, and I'm not saying that to brag. Like at the time,
I got one too.
yeah, at the time I was thinking to myself, you know what? This HeroQuest thing could be a flash in the pan. Like this, because at the time all we had was the game system. It can
I
retail.
was even, I mean, when it was the Pulse campaign was going, I was like, should I do the Mythic? I don't
I
know.
waited.
Do I really care?
It was
But
it
I'm
was yeah, it
glad I
was
did.
yeah, it was like I want to say it was like single digit hours left to go before I finally pledged. Because I didn't
Nice.
want to. I was like, oh well, it's the principle of the thing. I should support it because they seem to be doing it right, and there's rumors it's going to come to retail. Even though I had a lot of people telling me, oh, that Hasbro never does that. They just screw people over, you know. Uh, but so thankfully the naysayers are wrong, and it did come out. So it's like I felt like I did the right thing by supporting them because it's like okay, so many companies have just disappointed fans when they bring a franchise back, and so Avalon Hill
Yeah.
through Hasbro is doing the right thing. But yeah, this Guardian Knight thing came out, and it's like, well, for all I know, this is just going to be it. Like, there might not be
That
anything
was
else. So I got a bunch of them thinking, oh, I'll use these as mercenaries, and I still haven't done that yet. I almost did it with the Frozen Horror because the barbarian kept getting killed. So it's like, okay, we'll send 2 knights to protect him, and it was like, and it worked. So that was our first multiplayer stream on HeroQuest fans.
Now that was like the first, I can't remember now. That was the first thing they released after the campaign.
Yes, Well, I mean,
So
technically, I guess it was the game system and then Return of the
the
Witch Lord.
expansions, I guess. Yeah,
And Keller's Keep took a lot longer to come out for some reason, like to retail. I don't know why. It was like it would be like Return of the Witch Lord and then Keller's Keep like not available. So it's like weird. But yeah,
that is strange.
I think the first time we heard about it, it was GameStop Canada. You could get the game system with bonus hero. It was like bonus hero. What is this? And it was like, oh, it's the Guardian Knight. And then that all spiraled out. Yeah.
Yeah, but just I mean, just for their first release of something, some new content after the initial re-release of the game, I was like, oh man, they really screwed that up bad.
Definitely.
Like,
Well, this
how do you recover from that?
well, and then they did the apology, and I was thinking of I don't know if you've ever seen these, but if you look online, you can find these. And I've never been to Japan, but there's like all these like corporate meetings where they show like the people from the company like they stand up and there's it's like a press release and they're like bowing and like there's like tears in their eyes and like we're so sorry for screwing up this business decision that we made and just like this big spectacle.
Is that like professional mourning or something like that?
Yeah, maybe.
Professional cry apologizing?
it,
That's
it's
strange.
it's some yeah from what I've heard it's some actual like yeah cultural expectation like this is what you do. I mean I guess in the U.S. you kind of have the apology. It's like well I'm sorry if anyone was offended by my statements blah 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 they don't represent it's a very formalized thing. But yeah
Yeah.
I just pictured that and I was like oh man these poor guys it probably wasn't their fault and they're having to write this like groveling apology. And then I was like yeah but what's really going to happen? But they're finally, after all this time, able to make good on it and say, okay, fine, yeah, this character is in the box. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well,
I'm
and I mean,
looking forward to it. That'll
yeah,
probably be the sculpt I use too.
sure, sure. And I was saying like, okay, I know it's like in all the superhero movies. It's like you get the character who's known for wearing the mask, and the whole time there's always excuses to take off the mask because I'm a pretty actor and you got to see my face. So Spider-Man's got his mask gets ripped. Oh no.
Hey,
Or
shout out to Carl Urban in the Dread movie for never taking his helmet off.
hey, and also to why can't I think of his name? Hugo Weaving in V for Vendetta.
Oh yeah, that was
Yeah.
good too.
Yep. Well, I guess he did take it off, but you didn't see his face, so it's like, aha, you didn't do the classic like, oh yeah, let's get rid of that. Of course, I guess as an actor, I could kind of understand some of it. It's like, okay, as soon as I put the costume on him, it's just a CGI character. So
Yeah.
if you don't hear my voice, you don't see my face. Am I even in this movie? But yeah, it's like I came to see Spider-Man. I didn't come to see Tobey Maguire or Tom Holland or whoever it was. No offense to
Right.
those guys, but you're Peter Parker. You're not Spider-Man. Yeah. So we don't know much else about the Rise of the Dread Moon except there was that hint on Twitter where it was Orc Bard is greater than Internet Bard. And so we're like, okay, so are we going to get the Orc Bard in the box, but he's going to have like a big beard and he's going to say, the best thing about HeroQuest is this YouTube video I made.
That
See,
would be an amazing, like, just kind of tribute to the community.
they better pay that man royalties. I mean, it,
Absolutely.
it's like the British commercial, his videos, and like a lot of people who didn't grow up with the game, that's what they know. It's like, oh yeah, it's that internet meme. Yeah, yeah. And he's called the Bard, Bardic Broadcast. Shout out on YouTube. And do we have another person?
We do.
What's
Hey,
up?
hey, Karningul, welcome
Thanks. Yeah,
to the
when you said that,
RantCast.
yeah, well, when you say that, the thing that it made me think of was actually not that it was going to have anything to do with Dread Moon, but I was wondering if they were going to do a cross-promotional thing, like if they had reached out to him to get him to do some kind of video
Oh,
for the remake.
yeah, I was really surprised. I mean, I guess if he's in the UK, I mean, I don't think they even got access to the pledge version. They had to wait for
They
retail.
got it. I think they got it through Zavi.
Yeah, but were they getting the pledge version or were they getting the retail version?
I'm pretty sure Zavi was only the Mythic tier.
Oh, okay. But he just
I don't
must
think
not
that
have been one of
it
the
was
lucky
like
ones.
you.
Yeah.
Did he say he didn't get it? Like I don't.
Well, he said he was going to get it, and then he didn't make videos for like a year.
Oh,
Of course, I
I,
mean, it could have been all kinds of reasons, like
yeah.
why, but
Yeah, I mean, and of course my memory could be wrong, but
Well-
my memory from when the thing was going on, right, was of course all the people in the UK were like, "Hey, what about us? Like the game came
Yeah.
out here first."
Yeah, it's
And
we kind of started
and
the whole thing.
eventually Zavi must have cut some sort of deal to start. But my recollection is that the only way you could get it through that was actually to pledge the full mythic tier. You couldn't even do the heroic one.
Okay. So, all right. So maybe my memory's already getting a little fuzzy on that because I want to say, weren't Brazil and Australia also involved?
Yeah, I think there were a couple other places where
We
there
had
was
a
some
list.
sort of company that you could do it
Yeah.
through or something, but
'Cause there was
none of them, but no one other than
country.
us in like Canada could pledge through Hasbro Pulse directly.
right, and even so, it seemed like there was barely any time for them to do it. So I don't imagine.
Oh yeah, I mean
got
the thing was super short and not particularly well advertised. Like that was
And
always what was
still,
frustrating about it is
they
well,
got
of course we didn't know whether they would ultimately just decide to throw in the unmet pledge incentives, which in the end they did, which I'm very grateful
Yeah.
for.
Yeah,
But like
Joe
it
Manganiello.
absolutely would have hit that target just with a little bit more marketing, you know? Like if it had been if they'd done a better job of getting the word out ahead of time.
Spend money to make money. Well,
Right.
I could,
Or not even money, just a little bit of social networking. I don't even think it would have cost that much.
because I want to say there was like 5 people on YouTube that had videos about it because they got that little package where it was the tune with the
right.
the dice,
With the
and
dice in it.
dwarf. Yeah.
Yep.
It was just like, oh, hey, cool, you know, but there weren't a lot of established like HeroQuest streamers.
There
or
still aren't. There's only a handful.
Yeah. I mean, most people, it's like they talk about all kinds of things, and then, they have the one video on HeroQuest.
On HeroQuest, right.
It gets, 10,000 views because all their videos get 10,000 views.
But yeah, I just remember, right, for like a year after the pledge ended, you'd get these people showing up on the subreddit being like, I just found out about this. Like, I would have pledged if I'd known it was going on. Like
every day, someone wakes up. HeroQuest is back. What?
Yeah, and it's like
you need it in the store shelves, and now that's true. I mean, I've seen it with my own eyes. I've held the box in my hand. It's like it's real. It exists.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
I'm
not.
Sure I just got lucky. I was scrolling Facebook one day, and I just happened to see a liked post or some kind of suggested post or something like that, where I saw it, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll go check this out. I wasn't even joined to Yield in yet. I'm like, how did I think see that?
I don't even remember. I looked in. Right, it might have been I pulled up the R HeroQuest subreddit or something. I happened to do it at the right time because it wasn't super active and it wasn't something I was reading every single day. It was like it was like every few months I might be like, let's see what the activity was since the last time I looked in on this thing.
See, I was super active on Yield. And
yeah.
I hardly ever go to Reddit. I still don't. And I'm not active on Twitter. I don't even have an account there.
Yeah. I almost never post on Reddit, but I read it a lot.
Yeah. Hence
it's just super it's just super hard to find places with kind of decent like subject matter specific user generated content.
Yeah.
I mean, any user generated content's like that.
There's just the kind of the general demise of forums, in my opinion, has actually not been, at least for me personally, for the way I like to kind of interact, has been a negative.
I agree with you. I like to be part of a community. I just don't like to be part of a scroll. And it's true that like Discord, okay, am I a hypocrite for saying that? Because Discord's a chat, so you say something that gets pushed up, but you can still find it, and it's still a smaller community. It's not like, oh yeah, we have 20 million people on here or something,
right?
Where it's just impossible, and it's just you're bombarded with ads, and you got to be careful because the company might swoop in and say you can't say that, and censor you. So we're all just kind of our own community, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I don't think there has to be one central location where everything.
It's more just the general move, like forums like the Yield in forum are kind of they're it's an exception to have one of those that's really actually still going at this point. I used to be a part of all these forums for various things. And
same here.
Most of them have shuttered. They're not even available on the internet anymore. You can't even go and read the archives unless you want to dive through archive.org or something.
We all come from that mid-90s era of the internet where you'd have to find a community somewhere.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I still consider myself a Star Wars fan. always have to qualify it. Like I like the older stuff. I like the early work. Um, but
I
like,
basically original trilogy is about
yeah.
all I
But I mean,
care about at
well,
this
I
point.
liked parts of the prequels too, but and the expanded universe. But
I liked parts of the expanded universe. The problem I had with the expanded universe was that there wasn't really much of a filter. Like there's some real gems in some of those books, and then there's some real stinkers.
well, I guess not much has changed in the world.
Yeah.
Except there's just more money behind it. It's like, wow, they spent how many million on that, and it still sucks. Well, what I was gonna say was like, so back in those days when I was like at the height of my Star Wars fandom, like an activity online, like I wouldn't be on StarWars.com. I wouldn't even be on like TheForce.net. I'd be like on JediKnight.net or I don't
Yeah.
know, just smaller, originaltrilogy.com, like smaller
I was
forums.
Make my own GeoCities page. What are you talking about?
Hey, Angel Fire. GeoCities.
Angel Fire. Yep.
There
Yeah,
you go.
that's what it was all about. Yep, fire up your Netscape navigator and go for it. Yep. So yeah, it's just like okay. I mean, I prefer those smaller communities where it's like okay, there's the same 50 people you're talking to. Because yeah, you have people that come and go, but you felt like you could actually. I mean, you have conversations with the same people rather than just you're just lost in a sea of random comments.
Well, I find forums tend to be much better at retaining and continuing to make information available. Like searching Reddit, the Reddit search is terrible.
Oh, is it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
if
I
you
like
try
being
to
able to find
look for
stuff.
like you can't filter by like Reddit's own interface. I think you can do it through their like APIs, but you can't do it directly through Reddit's own website. You can't search by date. Can't be like I don't remember who posted this. I don't remember the title. But like I know kind of what the post was about, and I know it was posted sometime in 2018. Like you can't search by that.
Right. And I suppose
And then,
maybe some of it's a good thing because I mean when you have like I'm not going to get all political and stuff, but like cancel culture, it's like oh you said this stupid thing like 20 years ago, gotcha.
right, but I mean, but
But yeah,
you're
you're looking
trying to
for
like
like
you're like
okay,
I
where's
remember someone made this super awesome post about a homebrew system for doing
heck yeah,
XYZ for this game I used to play,
heck
and you
yeah,
want to go find it.
oh yeah,
It's super easy to find on a forum.
I agree. Well, and just even stuff like we were talking, I don't remember who I was talking to on the Discord, but it was like oh yeah, Hispazargon. He did like this difficulty calculator
That
for
was
different
me.
questions.
Yeah,
That was you? Okay. Yeah, it
yeah,
was like we found it in what, like 10 minutes or
something
something?
like that.
Yeah, it was pretty easy. And there was another difficulty calculator another guy did. Or no, it was a scalable difficulty
Right.
where you
That
had
was the
like
thing with like
the
the different
purple, the
color
green,
coded.
and the
Yeah,
yellow. It's like okay, you add this
more monsters,
monster
more traps,
if your
etc.
heroes
Yep.
have this level of gear. And it was like, oh, that's so cool. But yeah, like 2-3 years after it's made, how do you find it again? Facebook, forget it. It's gone.
Yep.
But
Yep.
yeah. So yeah, we do what we can. That stuff is valuable. It's not just because otherwise it's like I don't know. It's like a TV show. Like the TV show comes out, everybody watches it, everybody talks about it. The show ends, it goes to video, and then it's like it never existed.
Yeah. I think the other thing that's nice about forums is that you can do more subdivision within, like Reddit is like, oh well, there's one subreddit for everything HeroQuest. And on a forum, you can be like, here's the painting board. Here's the board for each official
Yep.
piece of game content that's been. So it's like, oh, I'm looking to see what people have. What have people, what are the discussions that have taken place in the past about Mage of the Mirror? Well, I just go to the Mage of the Mirror board. And most of it is just right there.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you there. And like iCareth, he's been working on this for a while. He's been trying to like modernize and update the forums, but
Yeah.
I think I mean it's a lot of work with all that data to try to like
Yep.
preserve everything and yet make it better in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't want to lose.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you're trying to do those modernization projects, you ideally don't want to have to make, you don't want to start from a blank forum again. Like you want to
start
port
all over.
everything.
Start all over. Well,
Yeah, you want to bring all the old
probably a lot
posts
of
with you, and
Yeah, there's
Yeah,
probably a lot
it's
of
not trivial.
those user accounts are probably dead. Like, I mean, not the people are dead, but I mean, inactive. But you
Yeah.
wouldn't go in and just delete all those posts because you lose
No.
a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
nice to see the history of that community.
Yeah. I mean, I was, it was sort of like a, shame on me. I should have, completely foreseeable that this would happen. But, it was like, oh, wait, Old Scratch is gone.
Yeah. See, I was never
And
even a
it's
part
like,
of that, but a lot of people talk about that fondly. It was like second only to Dwayne Hagen's Inn, if not bigger at one point, and then all those links are dead.
think my impression at one time was that, Old Scratch was more active
Did all the people
than
come to
was.
Yield Inn then, or we just don't know what happened to them?
Probably. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'm sure people drifted in and out, right?
Yeah, because a lot
Like,
of
I
people
remember,
from Yield Inn
yeah,
are here in our
yeah,
HeroQuest
like,
fans, but some of them are probably in the Tabletop Simulator one. Some of them in Hawkat's Mentor
maybe,
Study, and
yeah.
or Avalon Hill,
Or they might be on, they might be
like the
names,
Reddit.
like
Yeah.
I'm not using the same name now that I used to use.
Yeah.
Like, and I know, like, I remember seeing, there was a post, some old post, right, on the Agon's Inn, or on Yield Inn, rather, that, I'm reading through some history and someone was talking about the wacky homebrew rules that their new playgroup was using. And somebody it might have even been you, was like, that sounds like Flint. And
Flint? No, that wasn't me.
it wasn't me, but I was like, I remember Flint from Old Scratch, like, doesn't seem to have moved over, but I'm like, I remember Flint. Like, that was
Flint
one
was
of
the
the
name of a
names
person.
that was a name of a person who was very active on
Oh, okay.
Scratch back in the day.
Yeah, it does not ring a bell at all. I mean,
Yeah.
those forums, I think I looked them up in like 2002 because I was kind of reconnecting with that part of my past at that time, and it was like, oh yeah, I wonder what. And it was just mostly, I just mostly went to the page and I was just printing stuff out. I wasn't digging into the forums looking for stuff.
Yeah.
So I didn't really sign up or start reading stuff on the forums until 2017 thereabouts, and it was like, oh, there's actually a lot more here. I should become a member. And it's like, okay, I'll read all this other stuff. It's like, okay, do I start putting my own stuff out here? Oh, people are probably gonna laugh. And I think I've actually, I posted something. I was just like testing just to see like how deep does this well go. I think I asked. You could probably find this again. It's kind of amusing the responses I got, but like how many sheets of paper were on the original character pad that came with the game. It's like, did anyone ever bother to count them, like how many there were? And it's like I didn't get any responses, so I'm like, okay, they're not
Sure
quite
didn't.
they're not quite that obsessive about it.
Yeah, I sure did not. But
I think it was probably 100.
I didn't even.
It could have been.
I
80.
didn't. I stopped using official character sheets.
Oh yeah, we after a while we started. I think we used maybe like a third of the pad, and then we're like just started photocopying them because it's like, okay, we played so much, we're gonna run out.
Yeah, I made my own version that was like on a standard 8x11.
Oh, okay. Yeah, a lot of people have done that, and I can
because it was just like not big enough, and I think it's
you erased,
especially as you start getting into the expansions, it's not really portioned appropriately. Like, you need a bigger section for your potions. Like,
you're
gonna start accumulating like dozens of potions per character, and it's like, well, you need room to write them down.
The idea was that you would write them on the back, but eventually you start running out. And I erased so much, like eventually the paper is just, it's like hard to read because there's so much.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I've got like 4 sheets that are in my old classic box that I just, every time I'd start over with new people, I'd just erase the sheets, like give them the same ones.
Well, sometimes as kids we would use pen and stuff. So
so that's. Then you gotta like white it out or scratch it out.
This guy's never gonna get killed. Oh, he did get killed.
Yeah.
I remember us even making like little paper tombstones for the guys that got killed.
But also things like, I would encourage people to use dice to track their body and mind points rather than churning up a ton of space on a piece of paper, crossing off boxes. Like, yeah. Of course, then you did occasionally run into the knock the die over, and then no one can remember how many body points you actually were at before you did it. Yeah, but
I forgot to cross that off.
But yeah, but there was some good stuff on Old Scratch, and
Oh yeah.
It's just I feel bad now because I probably hadn't tried to check in on at least 5 or
Yeah.
like 10, and it's like, oh wait, and now it's too late, and I've missed my opportunity to
Yeah.
kind of browse through there one last time. And
Impermanence.
yeah,
Well,
the other one was I want to say like a bulletin board style thing. There was something,
a BBS.
yeah, that was HeroQuest, devoted to HeroQuest, that I also put content on. That was I believe where I posted I used HeroScribe to make an adaptation of Against the Ogre Horde for the US rules,
Nice. I still use
and I
Hero.
posted it. Yeah, and I posted it on that BBS, and somehow it ended up on Yield In. I have no idea how.
Nice. Somebody saved it. Well,
Yeah,
I
I
still
saved it. I mean, it's in my Google Drive. I still have it,
Nice.
but
Yeah, I
yeah,
need to go through my Google Drive. It's pretty old. Yeah, I still use HeroScribe, but HQuestBuilder.com has come a long
yeah.
way.
I'm just
And Squid
waiting for
Monsters is a cool thing.
I'm waiting for him to get Mage of the Mirror in there so I can stop using letters as placeholders.
Oh, and I want to shout out Ribby with the new dice, the Mentor bot in
Oh
HeroQuest.
Yeah.
yes,
So if you go to HeroQuest fans Discord, you can type some new commands. It's what? It's the exclamation point,
HQ roll, I think, something
HQ
like that.
roll.
There's roll, HQ roll, and now there's a Space Crusade roll as
Oh.
well.
Yes. So you do the command and you can do like combinations. So you can have like 3 black and 2 white dice or something. Oh, I don't know if you did white dice yet, but there's the different colors
Yeah,
of.
there's white.
Oh, nice. So yeah, the German colored dice are in there. So orange, purple, yellow, green, blue, black, and white for HeroQuest, and then Space Crusade would be the red and the white combat
Hmm.
dice. Nice. So maybe that'll come in handy with when we stream. If someone
Yeah.
doesn't, I mean, it's much more fun to actually roll physical
I
dice.
mean,
But
I have
It
I
either way,
really
you
have
is.
can do
been
it.
I have been super lazy and have still not fixed the overhead light in my office, so I'm still sitting here in the dark.
There you go.
Glow in the dark dice. Just
I was using
charge
the
'em up.
frozen horror dice when I joined the stream that one time because
Yeah.
it was easier to see.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, I've been using the frozen horror dice as the monster dice, Zargon dice. I had
Yeah, that
these
was
really nice
it was
Zargon dice that I got printed myself, but unfortunately the images were starting to come off because they weren't
Mhm.
always
Yeah,
not
apply
we'll have
the
to
great.
see.
clear coat on
We'll have
painted
to
dice.
see how how these dice age, I suppose, because
Yeah.
my original HeroQuest dice are pretty. I don't think any of them
Battered.
have somehow succeeded in not losing any ink.
Yeah. Those sweaty kid hands and dropping them on the
Yeah.
floor lots of time. We had like a tile floor, so they were always bouncing off the tile and
Yeah, I
getting
was not
chewed by
a.
dogs.
I was not one of the kids who took good care of a lot of their stuff back then.
We took care of some things, but yes, not
Took me a while to learn how to. I'm pretty good at it now, but I was much
yeah,
more cavalier with my stuff.
sure.
It's like why my battle masters is all like all the lances and spears are all broken.
Yep. Yeah, I had actually a fun time repairing mine. The set that I got had some broken pieces, and I was like taking like cocktail skewers and like
Yeah,
shaving them down and painting them and putting
I'm
wire
trying.
to the hands to try to.
I'm
The only
trying
thing
to
is,
figure out.
I couldn't get the halberd. I couldn't get a good replacement for the halberd, so I'll probably have to 3D print it.
Halberd, yeah, you need you need an actual halberd shaped thing for that. You can't just use a.
I tried
yeah.
to copy it tried to make like a template using the green stuff that I had, and it was just a complete failure. I tried to sculpt it myself, and
something right.
I'm just not that good. I never took sculpting in school.
Yeah, I wouldn't need to start.
Yeah. Some people, I guess, suggest, oh, make a mold and then use hot glue and then paint it. It's like, well, I could do that, I guess.
You
Spears
make it out
are
of
easy.
hot glue.
Hot
Interesting.
glue, yeah, like it hardens. And
Yeah.
I saw a guy at my gaming group. This was years ago. He had a bunch of like figures that he was using for tabletop gaming, and he just made bases out of hot glue. It was like, okay, that looks really cheap, but I mean, he could paint it and then put little crap on it, and you wouldn't know. Just looking at
Yeah.
it, just like, what is that? How'd you get that base that's like so organic looking? It's like, it's just hot glue. And hot glue is one of those things where like it works really well until it doesn't, but it's really
Yep.
cheap to just redo it again. Just heat that sucker up and then use it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. So for the next topic, I don't know. You guys want to say more? Oh, Jacer's here. Hey, hot glue, the original 3D printing. Oh, hot glue, comma.
The original 3D printing.
Yeah.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. I got my first resin print. I posted a picture of it on the Discord today.
Oh,
It
nice.
came in the mail. And
Which channel is that in?
Custom Creations.
All right.
Oh, so
Yeah.
you paid somebody to print it for you?
Yeah, I hired someone on Etsy.
Oh, nice.
You know, I went back and forth saying like I need it to be exactly this big, because I knew from experience that from information available elsewhere that if printed at default size it would be way too big.
If you don't mind saying, how much did you pay for the figure?
I think it was $6, and then it was a few dollars for shipping.
It's not bad.
That's about average, yeah.
Yeah.
That's better than a certain person I know who spent $44 on a Hero Forge mini and got took.
I considered that for one where
Don't do it.
I was like, I just could not find a model for the longest time that felt like it captured what the character was supposed to be, and I was like, I guess I could design one, but
if you're gonna, I was the sucker that did it, and I just couldn't believe how dumb I was for doing that. But if you're gonna use Hero Forge, unless you're getting the polished bronze, which looks awesome, I would say just spend the $8, which sucks. I mean, wait until it's on sale. Spend the $8 for the 3D STL file,
and then pay somebody to make it,
and then just print like thousands of them for cents on the dollar. Yeah, because my brother-in-law has a filament printer, and so he just prints it whenever he can, which is fine by me. It's not like I need this now. I need it by Tuesday. It's like, nope, just whenever I see him, it's like, oh yeah, here's a box of stuff I printed for you. Oh, thank you. Perfect.
Yeah, but anyway, the thing showed up. It had to be downscaled to the right size, and it showed up, and it was like, this thing looks amazing. Came together pretty well.
Well, that's cool. That's great.
Yeah, and I'm pretty I haven't. The only resin I've ever had, I think, before was Citadel Finecast, which is kind of crap.
I heard.
It's not great. I have a Wyvern, and the Wyvern cannot maintain its standing position because it gets hot and the thing collapses on itself.
Oh, bummer.
Yeah. This seems really solid. Like, you can tell it's not plastic, but
yeah,
I wouldn't really expect much to happen to it.
The ones that I bought, I think I famously have talked about Minis 3D and how I bought an insane amount of miniatures from him at one time.
Yeah,
a lot of them broke, and then he replaced them with the new ones that have the better resin for free that are bendy. It's like, oh man, if I'd known all that, of course I would have not done it, or I would have waited.
Yeah.
And the ones that Board Games Maker printed for me are actually pretty good, and they're the bendy type. But they're not resin. They're I think they're PLA.
Oh, interesting.
But they almost feel like wood. Like they don't feel fragile. And
weird.
They're airbrushed so much that you can barely see the lines, like striations that you normally see.
Right.
So
Yeah, because you normally see the layering.
But the problem is
fabrication.
They're really hoping that you buy them in bulk. So if you just buy a small batch like I did, it's like, okay, this is kind of expensive. This is like I'm buying metal miniatures.
Yeah, I mean, this is why I went more. I really tried to do as much as I could with Reaper, because it's like, I can buy those in bulk for very cheap.
Yeah, they have so many good ones, and it's like a lot of them are so generic that it fits perfectly. People complain, oh, it's not the right artistic style. It's like, it's pretty close to the remake style.
I was gonna say it wouldn't be as close for the original.
Classic, yeah.
But for the remake, it's mostly pretty good. Yeah.
But even for HeroQuest Classic, I mean, some of the
you could find some,
pretty close.
You could find some that would fit pretty well.
And I'm just talking about the plastic, the bones, as opposed to
right. That's the ones I've got.
The metal, yeah.
I've got a bunch of the bones, and yeah, it was sort of like after some of the painted versions that I'd seen photos of, and some of the kind of talk about it, I was like kind of bracing myself that maybe they wouldn't be that good. But like the ones I've got have all been like the detail on these things has all been spectacular. I'm like, if these are losing anything in the conversion from metal to plastic, it's not much.
No, and it's gotten better as they've moved some of their factories from China to domestic.
Yeah, right.
You know, they have like the Bones Black and the Bones USA, and
Yep.
it sounds like I'm advertising for them. It's not sponsorship, but like so at my friendly local game store, like I'd go into the store and I'd actually like hold it up and like, oh, okay, this is the actual size, and it's like, wow, the
Right.
detail on this is really good. But they take the photos of the old ones, the ones from China.
No, a lot of them are the.
And
Yep, a lot of them are the photos of the old ones.
Yeah,
it's annoying.
You take a flash photo and it's just blown up and you can't see much. It just looks like a big blob. But then you see it in person, it's like, oh, much better.
Yeah, I mean it's tricky too because the white makes it really hard to make out some of the detail on the mini, and it's like, so what I would often end up doing is I'd be like, okay, I have a general idea of what this looks like, but now I'm going to go look for painted versions. I mean, you know. And thankfully, Reaper has their own like show off forum, which is where a lot of it tends to pop up. And so you look for someone who's done a really nice paint job, and you can be like, okay, so when someone has gone in and taken the time to pick out all the detail, this is what this model actually looks like.
Yep. Well,
it's like,
as you guys may know, most of my stuff is just one color.
Because
I'm trying to
just spray it. You just blast it into one color.
Well, before I was actually brushing it on, so I was doing it all by hand. But it all started because I wanted to make a gift for a family member of like all the expansions. But since they weren't available, I was going to recreate them. So I found miniatures to correspond, proxy miniatures for the Frozen Horror. So I had all those. And I had all the Mage of the Mirror ones, and I had all the Ogre Horde ones, and the Wizards of Morcar, and I just pick them out, and but I was thinking, well, I want them to look like board game pieces, so I'm going to paint them in the solid colors. So I think I ended up doing the Wizards in black though, because the pictures on Yield End, they look like they're black rather than dark blue. But I thought, I know that's not the original color, but it kind of looks kind of badass. So
yeah, it's a very deep blue.
Yeah, like a midnight blue.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I know, well, with the remake figures, similar to Reaper Bones, they're kind of that bendy plastic, and so
right, which is honestly makes sense. I think
they're much more durable. They're much more
durable. That's what I mean. Is they're less likely, you accidentally knock one on the floor, it's less likely to shatter.
And the funny thing is, for the longest time I thought, man, tabletop gamers are getting screwed because metal is the best. Metal is so good, but like
metal is so easy to break.
It's so easy to break. Yeah, the stuff bends, and it's like good luck getting it back, and you glue it and it falls apart.
With the big stuff, like anything that's big or has sort of an awkward pose, you like have to pin it for it to not fall over.
Swords.
You sometimes have to weight the bases on some because they're in some kind of pose that's not balanced over the base. So if you don't weight the base, the thing just falls over.
Okay, so
there's all kinds of stuff with metal that gets tricky. Yeah, I have 0 metal miniatures in my collection. I have one that was part of the 40K box that was gifted to me, and I actually I was thinking, I don't know how well this would work. This would be a future project. I was like, okay, I have a soldering kit. I wonder if I could solder it together instead of gluing it, or if that would be a huge disaster. I don't know. Yeah,
I've never soldered before, so I guess
I had to
learn before I.
Yeah. My biggest problem was my female dwarf, which I also posted today. I finally got around to fixing.
Got her arms reattached.
Well, and it was the second one because I filed a customer support ticket with Hasbro, and they sent me another one, and it had the same problem.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I'm missing some things in the chat. So Jacer says, "How do you get the file to the 3D printer? Are they all Wi-Fi like regular printers?"
Oh, like how do you physically? I would assume it has some kind of
app, program that just.
You probably have a program on your computer. So one of the vendors on Etsy that I hired. I wanted to get a bear represent the druid when they're shapeshifted. Luxury mini, but I wanted to have one in thing because I figure I haven't had anybody play the druid yet, but I figure they're going to spend a lot of time in shapeshift.
Mm.
And so I was like, it'd be cool if they could actually physically, if it was easy to remember, are you shapeshifted right now or not? Like, well, are you using the bear? Like,
yeah. Oh, Ribby. Well, I've got some cheap miniatures that look like a crouching werewolf that takes up 1 square, and I was like, I'm going to use these as the werewolf.
yeah.
So Ribby says, my printer, for instance, some are, some aren't. My printer, for instance, stock, you have to use a USB stick to transfer the files across. However, there's a printer controller software I have running on a Raspberry Pi that plugs into the USB slot of my printer. Well, Raspberry Pi has Wi-Fi built into it, and it generates a web interface. So you can use the web interface on my main computer, drag and drop my files into the web interface, which transfers it to the Pi, which the Pi then controls the printer. So
I was thinking you might have a printer where it might be like it has a USB data transfer cable or something which you can connect between a computer and the printer.
I have a really old Raspberry Pi that I've never gotten to work, but I know what it is. It's like a little
microcomputer.
Yeah, a mini computer box that you can plug in theory, to do stuff easily portable.
If you are familiar with Linux, you can use it pretty easily, yeah.
And if you're not, you can.
And you just suck it.
You just fake it.
Yeah, despite the people that I hang around with, I don't know how to code. I never installed Linux. I've never f-prodded my tarball, not when anyone was watching, anything like that. But some of these guys, they're like, oh yeah, Python. Me and him go way back. Yep.
I am not a fan of Python.
Ever since I saved his life in '82.
It's a dumbified language, but you can get some stuff done pretty quickly.
Hey, I'm grateful that there's people out there that care enough to learn this stuff and crank out cool things that I can enjoy. So yeah, tinkerer's hobby. So I want to welcome Jacer to the RantCast, and we're not doing much ranting here. We're mostly just reminiscing and talking about good things.
So far,
which is fine.
Well, I mean, I can rant for a bit on the dwarf if you want me to, right?
Sure. And then we got to start talking about HeroScape.
Right. Well, I'm looking at this thing, right? And it really looks like they made somehow they didn't translate, I'm assuming, the original sculpt properly, because I've heard that this was a widespread problem. I've seen other people pipe up and be like, yeah, mine was the same.
Hey, can I interject? You're talking about the HeroQuest remake figure from the Mythic box?
Yes, the female dwarf from the remake box.
Okay. I forgot to say this earlier. I'm so sorry. Then I'll let you have your time. It may have sounded like at the early part of the stream that we're like flexing and we're like, yeah, we all got we got the Guardian Knight. We got like 10 copies of that, and we got the Mythic box first day. It was great. It's awesome.
You only stocked up 10?
The quality control. I want to say, if you buy HeroQuest today, if you buy the remake,
the quality control is much better.
You're getting a better product.
Yep.
Even though you're not getting extra monsters that are like other sexes, and you're not getting like extra quests, you're still getting a better quality product. Yeah, the paint jobs, the glue. I mean, there were a lot of photos.
It was still a work in progress, right?
Yeah, still a work in progress, and they
were still ironing out some of the.
They have responded. So if you got a set and it's broken, I especially feel bad for someone who buys, like right now, goes on eBay and gets like a scalped copy for like $500, and like half the pieces are broken, or like missing hands and broken swords.
They have at least some replacement stock.
Yeah, they have some replacement stock, and if you beg them in Hasbro customer care, they will send you like replacement parts.
Yeah, so I got a replacement female dwarf, right?
Yeah.
It really looks to me like something was not translated right, and they went to fabricate these things, because it's a slot and socket system, right, where the figure's arms end at the wrist and have a little hole in them. The ends of the wrists are hollow, and then the hands, which are molded onto the haft of the axe, have little stub pegs that come out from them that are supposed to slot into those holes, so that the thing, there's only one prop, it's super straightforward to properly assemble.
Some of the bones figures are like that.
The hands are too close together and don't, like, if you pop the thing into the socket on one arm, it doesn't reach the other socket. Like, they're the the pieces aren't the same scale. Like they don't match. So the first one that came in my box, right? Like the right hand is in the right place and the left hand can't reach. So they glued it in the wrong place. Because, some person probably getting paid pennies in China to put these things together, and they just, they're told, hey, glue them together. They glued them together. They put them in the box.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I got on the phone with Hasbro customer support, and I explained my problem, and they were like, send us a photo to verify that the figure is not assembled correctly, and we'll send you another one. And they did.
Nice.
And it had the same problem.
Shoot. They didn't at least give her a hook or something, or?
Well, it had the same problem, but the hands were reversed.
Oh.
So on the first one, the right hand had been put in the right place, but the left hand was wrong. On this one, the left hand was in the right place, but the right hand was wrong.
So they have to adventure together so that they can work
So
together.
that they have two functional hands.
hold the-
Yeah, so I had to, fall back on my dormant conversion skills and tear the axe off, and then cut the bits of the stub off, and
Did you just pull
file
it off,
and sand.
Did you use?
I was able to pull it off. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I was able to just pull it off.
I have some of that stuff that's supposed to dissolve super glue. Is it just super glue,
Yeah.
you think, or is it plastic glue they're using?
I don't know. 'Cause I also don't know, right? This is some kind of... I don't know if plastic glue would work on this or not.
Oh, because it's not styrene.
It might not... It's not... Yeah, it's not like, the
Warhammer.
W plastic or whatever, where it's like, that's a very stiff, very firm plastic that plastic glue works well on, but I don't know. I don't know what kind of glue it was. What I know is I was able to get
Two dwarfs make
the axe off with all of the externally visible parts undamaged. Like,
yeah. I was pretty lucky that my set wasn't broken. Like the only complaint that I had was the inscribing on the combat dice was pretty poor in some of them.
Yeah,
you could tell what it was, but it's just like you look up close, you're like, eh.
I really, I don't remember. I mean, I don't know if I looked super close, but I don't remember any particular problems with the dice. Yeah. Really, the dwarf, like, I had a couple that were, like, just dumb things that were, like, okay, they sent me a replacement. I didn't notice the dwarf at first. It took me a while before I actually looked close enough and was like, wait a minute. This arm isn't, like, the hand isn't attached to the wrist. It's like, what the heck happened here?
Yeah.
But, like, I got an orc with no right arm. Like, they just they had not glued the right arm piece onto the figure.
Shoot.
So it was like, well, he's just got a shoulder. Okay. But I filed a thing and they sent me replacements. Yeah.
Yeah, it's nice to do that.
Yeah, I can post.
Some of my orcs just kind of look like they're sweaty, and that's because you can see the gleam of the glue that dripped down.
Yeah, they were definitely a little sloppy with the glue, but some of these things, I think the way that you have to glue them together, it's almost unavoidable. Like my repair job on the dwarf was the right hand was a glue mess because of I wasn't, I'm gluing it on top of glue, and I'm like, I don't know how many points, where the points of contact are going to be. Like, so I was like, I just got to glob glue in there and just let it stick where it sticks. But I didn't really know which places, the places that the bond was going to be forming. So unfortunately, I think I said on the Discord.
Bond.
Yeah, the thing is a glue disaster, but at least it's together, and eventually, somewhere down the line, I'll prime it and paint it, and then it'll be fine.
Just borrowing your female dwarf. All right, so Jacer says, lines on the shields at different depths on the face. Cthulhu lion. Yep. All right.
Got a few of those.
Yep.
It was the initial run that had problems with them.
There were some typos in the quest books as well. I think different ones. Like different people had different typos. But nothing too bad. Of course, I guess the quest book ones are probably like the least problematic, because if you're Zargon, you can just, what they meant. You can just fix it. But yeah,
usually.
having a figure that's like mangled, it's kind of...
Yeah, and it's just annoying.
I mean, we're super fans, but not everybody has the wherewithal to, be able to fix it. I like fixing things,
if you don't have
to be broken. Like, I want to know what I'm getting into.
if you don't have miniature construction experience, this would probably be a much bigger hurdle.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm looking at one of my Guardian Knights, and he's got like a sweaty underarm, and that's because of the glue. But yeah, on the table you can't see it.
Yeah, and again, if you prime it, if you paint it, it won't be too noticeable either.
But I'm glad that they did put them in the different colors rather than quote unquote forcing you to paint it.
I think it was a very good move. I think to preserve the classic color scheme more or less.
Because it's
I'd say the gray isn't the same gray as in the original. It's a little darker, I think, but.
Because really, they could have gone the whole other way. They could have given us like detachable bases, and they could have given us sprues, and just said, go just paint it yourself, glue it yourself.
Yeah, it's an interesting middle ground, kind of, right? Like the original figures were pretty simplistic. The kind of poses they could be in were limited because
the gargoyle had
they wanted them
3 pieces.
Right, the gargoyle was the only one I think that required assembly.
Yeah, well, in the expansions you had the ogres. They had
the ogres, right? The ogres were a little more complicated. Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 5 pieces for the ogres. But like the frozen horror, you pop his head on. Like it wasn't much. I think Sinestra had a detachable head, which comes in handy for the final battle.
That's right. Yeah, I had a. This was before 3D printing was a consumer thing. There was. Years ago, there was a guy who had taken, and I think that more people have done this at other times too, but at the time there was like one guy that was known in the community somewhere in England who had made his own plastic injection molds out of the figures. So like for some of the rare stuff that was like impossible to find, you could get him to make you a copy.
I almost got sucked into that. I almost did.
I bought them for Ogre Horde, for Frozen Horror, and for what's it called? Mage of the Mirror.
Oh yeah.
No, actually, I own a legit copy of Wizards of Morcar.
Oh, so do I.
That one I managed to find on eBay for a reasonable price and got my hands on it
for me,
years and years ago.
Board Game Geek. Board Game Geek.
Yeah.
One of the guys there, I won't say his name because he didn't want me to say his name, but he knows who he is. Really cool guy. He sold me Space Crusade with the Eldar Attack expansion, and just not the box for the expansion. He sold me the first edition of HeroQuest with Against the Ogre Horde and Wizards of Morcar, just not the boxes for those two. And actually, the European expansion boxes weren't that great because they were more like a cereal box that you just flip open.
Yeah.
So they tended to get pretty beat up. So, but yeah, I've got those pieces now. But yeah, before that, I had the minis 3D versions, and it is kind of fun to be able to manipulate the arms of the ogres, have them kind of flail around. To keep it a family-friendly game, it could include push-to-fit models. Yeah.
Yeah. That is a way you can get some pretty dynamic poses out of push to fit and still have them pretty stable.
I don't mind the lack of dynamic poses, like just people standing at attention or having their weapon raised up in the air. That's fine by me. But
I know, but I can understand from their perspective why they might be like, we want to make it a little, we want to make this stand out a little from the original, and one of the ways we can do that is by having the figures being a little more
take up tons of room.
Yeah.
With that huge staff like waving to the side and other arm,
right,
like
the giant spear. Yeah,
I mean he looks like he's playing Blood Bowl. He's just running across the field and he's gonna throw the javelin.
Right, he needs a ball tucked under that other arm, right?
Okay, that's a mod. Put that on Reddit.
Yeah, Abomination. Yeah, that's gonna require that collaboration, right, between GW and Hasbro to come back again.
Well, and Carmine was saying those cryptic, things. I'm sure everything he says is very calculated, and it's like, okay, well, the chances of Space Crusade coming back are greater than HeroScape coming back. So there's the transition. So it's like, so wait a minute.
What does that mean?
So HeroScape, they had the Hasbro Pulse campaign. They raised half the funds. It was not funded. It failed.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I didn't.
Far away.
HeroScape was not a product I was familiar with.
Well, I knew about it back in the day, but I had already moved on. I was like a video game
Yeah.
player at that time. I'm like, you know what? I've got HeroQuest already.
Yep.
So let's see. It failed
Yeah.
to
So I
fund.
didn't even know about the
It's at about
crowdfunding.
I was following it,
it
but it
was
was
at
just
about
like,
half its backers. I'm looking at the page right now. It
okay.
was pretty short.
Yeah, they wanted twice as much money. They wanted 2 million. See, they
As
called
the
it
starting
backers. Yeah,
as
it's
the starting thing.
$250. Yeah, they got 4,353 backers out of the target 8,000. 2 months to do it. Or sorry, no, less than that. It was like 1.5 months. Yeah, it was doomed to failure, and I really feel bad for them that they did that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like I don't know, because I could imagine, yeah, you think you're hot off the release of HeroQuest, and you're like, this is just a surefire win. HeroScape's bigger than HeroQuest. It's going to be great. We can just, they'll pay anything because these people are, fanatics. They'll just eat it up. We won't have to try very hard. Or they could have been like, please, please, Hasbro, give us resources. Nah, too risky. Just do what you can with the here. You've got these two pieces of lint and half a pack of chewing gum. Go MacGyver it yourself. And then they're just like, okay. Like I don't know. I'm just imagining.
So I guess
Went down.
it's always felt to me, right? And we've had some discussions about this, that HeroQuest was for one reason or another was maybe a little bit more, had more kind of, I think, penetration of just the common understanding, because it was on the store shelves, not just in specialty stores, but in mainstream department stores and toy stores and
Well,
stuff. Like,
HeroScape
I had never heard of HeroScape until like earlier this year.
Well, HeroScape was the same way though.
Was it?
You used to be able
You
to
could
walk
buy it,
into like KB Toys or Toys R Us
and
or
you'd find
Walmart.
HeroScape on a
Yeah,
shelf.
and you'd have HeroScape on the shelf, and then you'd look over and it'd be like booster packs, and it would be like just
Hmm.
a little blister pack with like 4 guys in it that you could add to your army and stuff like that. I kind
Yeah.
of vaguely remember seeing them, but I mean I wasn't really paying attention because it was like, oh yeah, you know, that's a kid's game, and I already remember HeroQuest, and I just kind of moved on. I didn't get into Battle Masters, none of that stuff, but yeah, it was like
Yeah.
really popular. But the idea was they had this extremely expensive to produce game that was mostly plastic because you got all these plastic tiles and everything. Um, and the guys were like generic. So, but yeah, it was just like, oh yeah, you just keep buying and buying and buying all these common figures to build up your armies, or you buy alternate heroes. Because there was a little bit of a complaint. They were saying like, okay, if you wanted to increase your army, you wouldn't just buy 2 base sets. You'd have to buy the expansion sets because it wouldn't make sense to have twice as many heroes when you can only have one unique figure in each battle.
Yeah.
But you would get more tiles and you would get more like terrain that you could use. So they'd have all these specialty sets where you'd get like, I don't know, snow or lava or whatever. And of course now, people have carved them out of wood and printed them, 3D printed them and everything. But
Was it
yeah,
my understanding
it was
too? The original
pre-printed,
HeroScape
pre-painted.
was painted.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yep. It was
Right. And
hand
so this
painted.
one
Yeah, they
wasn't.
were.
That was a big complaint by a lot of
Well, they
people.
were trying to save money. So there were a couple of things like I didn't, and this was like they released this stuff piecemeal, like when the campaign was almost over already, and it was like this is a really weird way to market it. Like the gameplay videos came late. They had Chris Nato and I forget the other guy's name, the guy with the glasses, not the Walker guy, but this guy. But anyway, yeah. So one of the Avalon Hill guys, and they were talking about it, and they were saying, well, what Hasbro wanted us to do was to make it like more unique because the old game it was just like okay you got the army guys, you got the samurai, you got the elf, you got the dragon. It was just too generic, like it'd be too easy to proxy stuff, so they wanted all the stuff to be like very specifically trademarkable, copyrightable or whatever. So you had like what steampunk bears, and you had I don't know, cybernetic insects, and just like all this very kind of like Games Workshop making their Chaos Warriors and their Fimmers. They're trying to make something unique that's going to be
Yes.
associated with the brand, and so they had to do all that R&D with it, all that sculpting, and yeah, they to save money they didn't paint the stuff.
Yeah.
And at first I thought they gave you more terrain, but actually they gave you about the same amount of terrain as the original master set. But I think what was new is like all these columns and stuff, you didn't have that. You just got a few sections of wall. And instead of having like a couple of small squads, you had like whole factions. So I think there was like 5 or 8 armies instead of like 2 armies that you'd form out of these smaller unique groups. So there was a lot of content in there. But again, they were probably thinking, okay, this is might be just a one shot. Fire and forget. Maybe they doesn't go to retail. It's not successful enough. So they give you as much as they can in the box. Jacer says, fully assembled, ready to go to play right out of the box. Because many of the stats were similar to Battle Masters and HeroQuest, I used them more as proxies than actual played and homebrewed extra. 212 pieces plus cards. Wow. Wow. Yeah, see, I've never played HeroScape, but I own it now. I was going to do like an unboxing actually, but you guys can keep talking. Sorry, I kind of just took over.
Yeah,
the
I just
conversation.
posted the
No,
picture
no,
of my glue explosion on my door.
Oh yeah, let me get rid of this so I can actually see what you're showing there.
Ugh.
You can't show it in this chat, can you?
I
Oh, I'd have to switch over
don't
to the main
know.
main Discord.
Yeah.
Is that in general?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like she put her hand in flour.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, a lot of the first attempt went poorly, and a whole bunch of the glue vaporized and stuck to anything it could find, and got all over the bottom of the axe handle.
That's what happens every time.
Yep.
Get some red paint and fix that up.
Yeah, I mean it's I'll try after it's had a couple days to really set and cure. Wash off and brush off anything that comes loose, and then you prime it.
Yeah.
Fine.
I have some of that stuff. I only used it one time, and I realized, oh, this is plastic glue. It doesn't work. But it's that stuff that dissolves the whatever the
Mm-hmm.
technical name for super glue is.
Oh, that dissolves the.
Yeah, so you can like brush it on and like wipe it off.
Interesting.
It loosens.
I'm always wary about that stuff because, like, I always, people will be like, "Oh, you can use acetone," and it's like, well, acetone will eat into the plastic, like,
ruin it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I'm always
so
a little
far
worried. I'm like,
I just use
yeah.
the simple green and the super clean, and the LA's totally awesome for paint stripping. And actually, the guinea pig was my female barbarian. Like I actually stripped off.
Yeah. I remember you posting about it.
Yeah, with that, and it was fine.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, I could try.
I don't think
simple. I could try. Yeah, I could try putting simple.
Simple green, I think, is like the lightest stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to submerge it.
Yeah, well, but this is for removing paint. For removing glue, you probably want that other stuff. Just look it up, like how to remove super glue.
Well, I mean, it's after all the trouble I went to try and get the stupid axe glued in a position that actually more or less fits the hands to the wrists, it's like,
yeah,
I don't necessarily want to be risking breaking the bonds of the super glue.
Ribby says if Space Crusade had a re-release as part of a Games Workshop Avalon Hill Hasbro collab, I'd be back so hard. Freezing CA glue, says Jacer. Yeah, so I would break my don't back a Kickstarter rule for a Space Crusade.
Absolutely.
If it was good, I mean, I would do a lot of research first because they barely got me with the HeroQuest one. And if I knew it was coming to retail, I might just wait. But if it was like, yeah, it's like, is my $100 or whatever, is that really gonna push it over the edge? Probably not. But
Yeah.
And I own Space Crusade, so it's like, why would I? Again, it would be the principal thing, be me supporting it. And I know a lot of people are mad at Games Workshop and will never support them again. But here's the thing, like it's kind of like the other one-offs they've done. Like you buying HeroQuest doesn't mean that you suddenly became a Warhammer player. Like you don't have to buy into all that. Or you play Warhammer Quest, okay, that's awesome, but it's a totally different game, so it's not like.
Yeah, I mean they're probably hoping to convert you, but
right. But I mean, I guess I get it's kind of like the D&D thing. I mean, Strange Bus was saying like, okay, I'm so mad at Wizards of the Coast that I'm not going to buy any Hasbro products. Period. Like
Right.
I get that. So if there's people that are like, I'm completely boycotting 100% Games Workshop, it wouldn't matter if they did a collab with Hasbro. They just say, sorry, I'm just not getting it. Yeah, get it used, get it on the aftermarket, as long as it's not scalped. But yeah, I get that part. But the idea that they're somehow going to ruin it, not necessarily, because it's a collab. They do what they do what they do. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just yeah, it's like just because Games Workshop was doing miniatures for HeroQuest and all the expansions for HeroQuest and Space Crusade and all the expansions for Space Crusade, it's like and Battle Masters, like those games didn't change. It was still the vision that they had. You know, they're
Did we ever
fulfilling a role.
find out? Right, because did we ever find out who did the sculpting
Who did
for
it?
the who for the figures that weren't Citadel for the two expansions that came out for the U.S. only?
Yeah.
Right,
I
they were reusing some of the sprues from the
yeah.
EU expansions, and then they were like, we're going to make new ones, and
I assume
I
they
was
just
looking at
the draft notes from listening
yeah,
to
and
Audios.
they were
Yeah.
like, and in the notes, the guys are like, you need to, the first thing you need to do is figure out what figures you want to add because we need to
Right.
like hire people to design them and
If
sculpt them, and then we have to make molds and we have to get somebody to do the
yeah.
fabrication. And
I
so I
don't
was
know if
like,
they hired some one-off person to just, oh yeah, do this in
yeah,
the style of because you can tell there's differences. Like you compare the elf, the evil
hmm
elves to the hero elf, and like the heads are different sizes, so it's not
yeah,
100% the same, but it's rather similar. I don't know. I think I heard. I think I don't even know where I heard this. So it's probably completely unreliable, but it was like, oh yeah, it was a former employee of Games Workshop that did them, but I mean, how do they know that? I don't know. A lot of this
yeah,
stuff just doesn't come out. I mean, yeah, I don't
yep,
know. You just you look around and you just find random stuff like, oh, Brian Ansel posted something in the comments section to somebody's blog once. Like, okay, or here's the Stephen Baker interview and it's in Portuguese and you translate it to English.
yeah,
Like trying to just look for tidbits, detective work. I think a lot of that stuff a lot of it just is uncredited. We don't know, and unless somebody comes out with it, oh yeah, I was the one that did it.
yeah. Like what was that? I saw just these random stuff. Like somebody made a reference to the singer from Lacuna Coil playing HeroQuest at some event or something, and I was like, I listened to that band.
Yeah.
And I went to look for it, but the only information and the only stuff that came up when I tried Googling was all in Italian. It's like,
So Karn, so I'm
because
sorry.
they're an Italian, she is Italian, but
Oh, okay. Yeah,
so it was
Lacuna
like,
Coil. That now I
yeah,
remember what. Yeah, those videos.
most of their songs are in English, but the band is actually Italian.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I think it's cool when you get to hear like all these different communities, their experiences with the game, because yeah,
Yeah,
just so Karningul, I was gonna say like if you're involved in our next HeroQuest game at the Frozen Horror when we finally play Mage of the Mirror, I'm gonna have to make sure to remix the stuff because
you might, yeah,
you've
because
read all.
I've been poring over all the maps trying to translate them.
Oh yeah. Well, I liked a lot of the jokes, like the frozen yogurt for everyone, and refrigerator doors, and dancing with the ice princesses and stuff. Yeah.
And well, and of course, here comes the Yeti.
The Yeti. Yep. Absolutely.
Uh, maybe the best call Shivani ever made.
All right. So let me just see. I feel like I need my webcams again. See, just when I get rid of them is when I need them again. So I'm gonna try to do. Oh yeah, Jacer's saying freezing CA glue. That's what it's called. So the crazy glue, I call it crazy glue. Super glue, it's CA glue. Freezing it makes it brittle. Yeah, and actually I did
Yes.
use that very technique to try to. I had these Citadel high elves. They were like hard glued into these bases, and I was trying to like
Yeah.
remove them from the bases because I was going to use them as extra troops for battle masters, and I had a heck of a time. And yeah, I froze them, and it did make it
Yep.
easier. But yeah, those I I couldn't quite tell, but I think they might have used a combination of super glue and plastic glue. So like chunks of the bases were like breaking off, and it was really messy to
Yeah.
clean up.
The problem I had when I did some work with plastic glue is that it bonded so fast and so strong that like you had almost no time to try to adjust if you couldn't quite get it into the the right position right away.
Yeah.
It was like I better make sure I put it in the right spot on the first try because I'm not getting a second. You know?
Yeah, with my Space Crusade set, I felt bad. The one piece that I broke was the Blood Angels commander, and his backpack just like broke right off, so the peg was still stuck inside. And I thought what I could do is I could glue the peg with plastic glue, and I would pull it out and would pull the peg out, but it didn't. It just made like the back of the backpack like all melty looking. I was like, oh crap.
Geez.
But I mean, I glued it back on and just said, okay, fine. That's just I'll just have to remember that's the one that just doesn't get removed when I put it away. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I guess I can remove my name here. Let's get that off of there. Yeah, if any of you other guys want to talk, don't let me monopolize the conversation. If you got something to contribute. Jacer says it bonds faster, melts, gotta have perfect timing. Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, the plastic. I mean, yeah, it's like once you got that stuff stuck in there, it's not coming apart again.
Yeah. Well, I guess the good thing about sprues is you can actually practice. So like with these Warhammer 40K fire team, like if I want to know what the paint looks like or the paint pen looks like, I'll write on the sprue first because it's the same color plastic. Yeah. And I guess I could do the same thing with glue. Like I could practice. Like, okay, it doesn't totally screw it up. Maybe I can use it on the figure. But I'm not going to glue those. I've just been using. Do you think there's any problem with using sticky tack on painted miniatures? Like, should I be worried that that's going to like turn into oil or something after a while?
It doesn't retain its stickiness forever.
Eventually, it's just going to peel off. Like
eventually, it's going to fall off, right? Because I will occasionally use. I used to when I was doing more miniature modeling, right? I would use sticky tack sometimes to temporarily attach stuff so I could like evaluate, like, does it look right?
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
I was trying to do I was trying to do a lot of kind of simple conversions and like, okay, this is, this hand is not, it's like, oh, this hand that originally held a bow, I'm going to try and transform it so that they're holding a staff. And, I was doing stuff and it was like, can I attach this hand in a posture where it's like oriented correct? And so, okay, well, let's use sticky tack. So I attach the hand and then like back off a little bit and be like, does that look like it's in the right position to change what's in the hand? That kind of thing.
Yep.
And yeah, and so like I've got one of those figures on my desk that just kind of got forgotten like 90% of the way finished and then never completed. And
yeah,
when I last picked it up, the sticky tack fell apart. Like the thing that had been connected with it separated. It was like, oh, it's not sticky.
Well, I just figure I'll keep it in the bin and then I can just like reapply it when it's time to actually play it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the tricky thing, right, is that it can be a little bit difficult if it's stuff that's sort of supposed to be flush.
Mm-hmm.
Because the sticky tack.
These
you need kind of
figures don't fit as well as you would hope with the push
fit.
So
it's kind of up to you then whether. I think it can certainly work at least, and especially sticky tack's not super expensive.
No, it's not.
Willing to replace it when it starts wearing out, but I didn't have any problems with it. Like you can always get it off,
Yeah. Well,
like
see,
it doesn't. It doesn't turn into anything that's problematic, or at least I haven't observed it.
That's good. Yeah, that's what I was concerned about. So, yeah, and I actually bought sticky tack that was like the right color. So I've got some yellow, I've got some red, I've got some blue.
Yeah.
So this is HeroScape. This is not Age of Annihilation because that was never funded. This is the Battle of All Time. So I guess this is the Valkyrie, Rise of the Valkyrie set. And see, 30 Ride of the Valkyries. Yeah. 30 miniature figures, 85 interlocking terrain tiles. It's got the Milton Bradley logo on it. Rise of the Valkyrie. So, Jacer, you actually had this game? Hey, it's for 8 and up. So it's even simpler than HeroQuest.
Yeah, although I think like HeroQuest, it almost certainly gets slapped with a higher age today, I think.
Yeah, well, pointy swords. is always the thing. So it's 14 and up.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like give to daddy. Like this is for your grown-up dad to play with. Playing with my highly detailed models. It's like, no, we didn't see you playing with your dolls, sir.
I always think of the line in the Lego movie, and the little kid says to the dad, and he's like, it says for ages, 10 and up or whatever on the box, and the dad's like, well, that's just a legal thing. They have to put that.
Yeah. Safety.
And he's like, these things aren't toys, and the kid's like, well, they kind of are, and he's like, not the way Daddy uses them. They're not.
Yeah. Well,
I'm just like, yeah, that's gonna be me. When my daughter's like 6, she's gonna be like, "Can I play with your Legos?" And be like, Daddy's Legos aren't a toy.
See, I've got the wall hanger samurai sword for scale, of course.
Mm-hmm.
Get that out of here. Yeah, my desk is too small for this. Usually I do unboxings like with somebody else, somebody who's got like more table space, but I'll do what I can here. Yeah, so this game, I would like to play it sometime. I don't know if it'd be practical to play it on the stream. Maybe when I'm on site, maybe Strange Bus and I could play it. But it's
Wait,
I guess it's modular.
Why is it saying the stream is offline?
Is it? Uh-oh.
I just went to the page and it's not. It didn't. It was like it says it's offline and it's giving me an intro video instead of.
No, we're still live. It's not the guy with the headphones. If it's the guy with the headphones, then we've had a connection interruption. Try refreshing your page. So the one thing that I was disappointed with this, and again,
it's definitely
board game.
Am I misremembering the Twitch ID?
Oh no, you're not going to HeroQuest fans. You're going to the RantCastPodcast. Yeah. See, because last time I did it on the wrong one. Because you've got to change it in OBS. If you forget that you stream your old one. Yeah. So the RantCastPodcast. So thanks, Polsky. Hey, welcome to Comrade Polsky.
Oh no, I'm gonna have to bail. The broadcaster has indicated that this channel is in mature audiences.
Oh yeah, you're just not mature enough to hang with me. Immature audiences only. So the one thing, the cool guy that sold this to me, this guy said I could use his name, Keith. Shout out to Keith, awesome guy. Thank you. Yeah, this didn't come with the candy tray because originally there was a white plastic candy tray and there was a clear plastic sheet that went over it, which is, if you buy HeroQuest now, like the newer, smaller box, that's what it is. They're not just like tightly in there and those vacuum sealed, or you got to like bust it out.
Those ones. You just those ones were a mess.
Yeah, and I mean, Mage of the Mirror, Frozen Horror, it's just really easy to open, really easy to get out and put it back in because you're not just gonna rip up the box and throw it in the trash.
I still don't like the candy trays for put them back in solution, but they weren't a problem to get out of.
Nobody wants to hear me ranting about Feldar foam and all that stuff anymore, so I won't. Get yourself an electric carving knife and some furniture foam, and you could do it yourself. But I was just going to say, I'm going to go to the craft store. I'm going to go to the craft store. I'm going to buy some foam. My wife dug up our glue gun the other day, so hot glue, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just gonna make my own storage system, which especially because I'm ordering all these Reaper and a handful of stuff off Etsy. I'm ordering all these proxies. I want to put them in the appropriate box.
You know what this game makes me think of? Like this doesn't even make me think this was a game. This is like you went to summer camp and it was like make your own board game class, and people were like, "Oh man, I've got these blocks. I got some random dice. I got some. Oh yeah, I'll put this knight in there," and then they just like made a game out of it. It just went directly from and of course then they professionally produced it. But it's like, what a great idea.
I remember I tried to design a board game once as a kid for some project or whatever. The only thing I remember about it is that the final enemy was a giant flaming skull.
That sounds awesome. He is samurai boss for HeroQuest. There you go. So this looks like some kind of guy from a Wagner opera, but he's got like some high tech details on him. But yeah, it's bendy plastic. It's fully
It's
painted,
already,
and
yeah.
he's this guy glued it to the base. But this part here, I originally thought that was painted. That's just a sticker. It's just a sticker right there. That surface.
Oh, on the
Yeah,
base.
yeah. But I mean, let's compare him. So there's the Guardian Knight from HeroQuest remake, or there's the Mage of the
Yeah.
Mirror elf
Not too far off, actually.
comparing to a classic orc with a repaired cleaver. Yeah,
Ah, the cleaver.
yeah.
That had to be the best weapon
I love the
in that
cleavers.
game. Just like
Yep.
the orcs are just like, look, I don't need a weapon that's designed to be an actual weapon. I'm just going to use a giant meat cleaver.
I gotta eat too. Well, and that cleaver that the zombie uses, that's an actual thing from the Middle Ages. It's called a hog splitter. Like no joke, it really exists.
I do miss the zombie
Yeah,
not like awkwardly trying to lift that thing from
yeah.
in the remake.
He's
Like
he's never gonna get it up to his chest level.
yeah,
He's just gonna you're gonna kill him.
yeah,
Well, this guy got bent
yeah,
a little bit. He might need some boiling water on this guy. He's
yeah.
like, whoa, he's doing a Matrix thing.
Oh jeez.
But yeah, see, it's only one leg just secured into the base. Is how it goes.
Yeah, there's a single like peg thing. Yeah,
You a Viking
it's not a
traveling about?
standard slot base. Interesting.
Nope,
Yeah,
it's completely its own thing. But again,
yeah.
it just looks like it's cobbled together from other games. Now these, the famous bases, this is like the most distinctive part of the game. Everybody who knows anything sees this and it's like, oh, HeroScape, and
Yeah,
it's pretty solid. And then it doesn't fit together like super snug, but I guess like
not
that.
good enough to. Yeah, I mean
And
you're putting it
everyone
on a
complains like,
table,
oh,
right?
you gotta build this huge terrain, and with these it's gonna take forever. But they do give you these very large pieces as well.
Yeah, it
That
doesn't. I
are
mean, it doesn't strike me as something that would take that long to set up.
no, you get it set up ahead of time and bring everybody to the
Yeah.
table. And I always wondered about these dice because I know Icareth, when he and I were playing before the channel was created, he had HeroScape dice, and I was like, "What are you using to roll your dice? Those aren't HeroQuest dice." So there's the red ones. Let's see, they've got 3 skulls and the rest are blanks, so 3 blanks. And then the
Not
blue,
not quite battle masters.
yeah, two white shields, and then the rest are blanks. So it's like you've got your defend dice and your attack dice. But if you combine them into one, they actually sell these white dice that have the skulls and the shields on the same die, and then the blank is the black shield. So you
Yeah.
could use these to play HeroQuest, and these are tiny. These are really small. These are like, let's see if these are as big as the wooden HeroQuest classic dice.
I'm pretty sure I can one up you on the smallest dice thing there.
Yeah, see, these are the German dice, much bigger. And
Yeah.
the remake dice are about that size too.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean the remake dice are noticeably larger than the original HeroQuest dice were.
Okay, so my classic dice are packed away. These are homebrew dice.
Yeah, those are the German ones.
Some Etsy guy made these. These are almost the right size. Oh, so actually it's pretty close.
What are they made out of?
The HeroScape? It's
No, like Etsy. If you bought
That's
dice from
wood.
somebody on
These are
Etsy,
wood.
wood.
Yeah,
Okay,
these are wood too.
wood.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
also have some other ones that are just plain like inscribed wood, which yeah. So yeah, he did the. See, it's so hard to find shiny gold paint, but it does exist. Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't decide to keep the shiny pips.
Yeah, I stripped mine and I repainted them. And I'll tell you that paint on the remake dice, that stuff is just like hard coated, like really hard stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
I took some cheap dice, the cheap dice that I got off of Amazon. I threw those in a cup of like super clean, and like within seconds you could see like trails of the paint coming off. Whereas the remake dice, like they were in there for like a week, and I still had to scrub them with a toothbrush to get that stuff off. Like I had to really put a lot of elbow grease into it. So they really did a good job with those dice. They really
Yeah.
put it on there. But yeah, so there's your dice, and these images are just painted on. So I don't know. I might clear coat those. I almost hate to because they're so pretty, but yeah. So you just roll a
Yeah.
whole bunch of these, but then you can see at a moment's notice that's what it is. And then you got it's a D20. Yeah, this is for initiative. Decide who goes first, and then you got these little things. I'm not sure what these are used for. These little counters. Jacer says big dragon. Yes, I'm getting to the big dragon. What's that? Oh, it's a grenade. Oh, cool. So you can throw a grenade. Nice. Yeah, there's two sets of rules. There's like the master rules and there's the beginner rules. So I'll probably start with the beginner rules. So these are water.
You got to count to 3 before you throw the grenade.
Yeah.
Got to make sure not to count past 3.
Yep. 5 is right out.
Yep.
I think we actually did put the Holy Hand Grenade of Antioch in one of our campaigns, HeroQuest back in the day. I don't know if we ever used it, but it was just like, oh yeah, we got to use this. Now this is
Well, clearly you didn't. You must not have. Heroes must not have run into a killer rabbit.
yeah. So I guess
That's the obvious place to use the holy hand grenade.
right. Yeah, I like the fact that they just had like a couple of monks just following them around with the the holy relic until
A couple of monks that you had never had any, that the viewer had never been told existed up to that point.
yeah, you never saw them before.
Right.
their
Then
big
suddenly they're like, they're one of the relics that Brother Maynard carries with him, and it's like, who?
Yeah.
And suddenly they have monks and they have this whole baggage train, and like,
Yeah,
that movie's just fantastic.
it is. I think but it's funny because when I first saw Monty Python and the Holy Grail, like I was at the age where I was like offended by it. I was like, you can't make fun of King Arthur. King Arthur's cool. Like, just like seeing Spaceballs. You can't make fun of Star Wars. Star Wars is cool. And then okay, all right, satire. It's funny. And so now, yeah, I can enjoy it, appreciate it.
It's just, there's just some stuff in there.
I was too
And,
much of a fanboy.
Yeah, unfortunately, not all of their humor has aged super well in some of I own the entire DVD collection of their TV show, and like there's some episodes that are still just like you end up rolling on the floor laughing by the end. But there's some, especially from some of their later seasons of the show, when I think they were starting to run out of ideas, where it's just like, this isn't funny. It's like, what is the joke here? Like.
Well, yeah, comedy's hard.
But Holy Grail is just still
the Holy Grail.
Fantastic time.
Monty Python movies.
Yeah. I mean, I like the other ones too. Life of Brian is also great. Meaning of Life has some funny bits in it, although Meaning of Life is almost more of a skit show than a film.
Yeah. I really don't consider myself a Monty Python fan, but if you are, more power to you. But yeah, I mean, everybody I knew had at least, a couple of jokes where like, okay, I get it. I get what you're referencing there.
Yeah.
So these are the, it's like the Viper Squad or something. There were these secret agents that were included in a Walmart exclusive. So that came as part of the set.
Jeez,
I think you could buy, well, but you could buy them separately later. But
yeah,
it was like, oh, the master set with. So they did use those tactics to try to get you to buy more and more stuff.
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking about what happened to video games a few years back, where it was like
buy.
Well, it was like the same game.
DLC,
it was like
special editions.
What I remember was the big push to incentivize pre-orders, where it was like, there'd be these perks.
Yeah.
And that you'd get for pre-ordering, like
that guy needs some love. Yeah, that is a pretty sweet Viking warrior. He's got
It'd be like
Sutton Hoo
there'd
hat.
be different perks depending on who you pre-ordered from, and you
Yeah.
couldn't get
Mhm.
both of them into
You'll
the
get
same
the,
version of the game.
You'll get the Undertaker if you get it from GameStop. You get Hulk Hogan if you get it from, or the Ultimate Warrior if you get it from Amazon, or
Yeah,
Best
exactly,
Buy
that kind of
has,
thing.
Roddy Piper. It's like, oh man, how do I get them all?
You gotta go. Oh, you gotta go for the hot rod.
Yep. Oh.
R.I.P. Piper.
Yeah, Piper
Died
Stick.
too young.
Yep.
Of all the wrestlers of that generation to have like sort of passed away early, it's like there are a whole bunch I would have preferred instead of Piper. I feel like he really was not the one that deserved it.
Aw. Yeah, he seemed like a cool guy.
He seemed like
He
as
went
far as I
through-
know, he was a
Well, yeah, you
pretty
don't know everything, but it's like, yeah,
he was a
he went through a lot
decent
of stuff.
enough fellow. Yeah, and I mean he was the one like I remember when John Oliver did his bit on pro wrestling a few years back. He shows an interview clip from Piper talking about how
These guys.
the wrestling industry doesn't have like an exit plan. He's like, and he's still working because he still needs the money, and he's like, and he's like, I'm not going to make 60 or whatever. He's like, I know it, and he didn't, and it's just super sad. Like
It is, yeah.
he just reconciled himself to an early death, and then it actually happened. It's like, wouldn't it have been a better story if he had surprised himself by living to a ripe old age and getting to spend a lot of time with his family in his retirement?
Yeah, it's sad. Yeah. So now when I look at these guys, I'm thinking like, come on, Space Crusade, it's coming back. I mean, Games Workshop had nothing to do with this, but it's like, see, it can be done.
Mm-hmm.
Well, because I was thinking like, yeah, the less desirable path would be if they did the same thing that they did with HeroQuest and they just like, changed everything. Yeah, they're not Space Marines, they're Star Marines or something, Space
That
Soldiers.
would be a rough transition.
Yeah, Space Soldiers, and they could get the Alien license in there. They could get Star Wars in there. So yeah, you've got a variety of alien monsters, and I know if I had been 8 years old when this came out, I would have totally gone for the monster factions. Because yeah, it's fun to be the hero, but I like the creatures. Definitely like the creatures. But I didn't get to play as Zargon very much when I was a kid, and I was not. I was kind of a sore loser. So I mean, if if I didn't slaughter the heroes, I was really depressed. I was like, oh man, I don't know if I want to play again. Wow, he's got a great sword in one hand and a gun in the other, and he's got a visor. See, we were talking about the blind swordsman with his stick, resembling a certain member of our Discord community. Oh wow, your spear appears a bit limp.
Oh, geez. The other one was like, okay, I could live with that. That one's a little bit like.
Let me show you how to straighten that out. Hiya.
I mean, both of those, it's a little like, I don't know that would really work for its intended purpose.
Yeah, but I mean,
a little bit too bendy.
Yeah, you could definitely straighten that out with some hot water and some cold. But yeah, cool looking figure, and it just shows what you can do with
bendy plastic.
Yeah. Jacer says Airborne has Lob. I painted them for Ultramarines as a Terminator. Yes, I saw that. Yeah, Jacer has done a lot of painting work. He's definitely not afraid to put his work out there. And he painted some of these guys to look like Space Marines, like Warhammer. It was like, oh, wow. I think you did a great job. Better than I would have done, for sure. I'm still learning. There's another one of these agents. Viper Onyx.
Did you just paint on top of them, or did you strip the paint that came with?
I don't know. Jacer, what did you do? Did you paint over the top, or did you strip it off? Because it looks like for this, you could... I mean, it's very similar to Bones. You could just use simple green. Let's see. 1, 2...
Oh, just primed over the top.
Oh, there's a little decal on there. You can just barely see it. See on the shoulder? So they didn't just do a couple passes
Oh,
with
yeah.
the airbrush.
Mm-hmm.
It's 1, 2, yeah, maybe 3 colors. So yeah, it's tabletop, right?
Right.
What
Yeah.
is it? Tabletop plus? I forget the. Was it you that
I
told me?
don't remember.
Somebody was telling me
Yeah,
like
tabletop. Well, the old. I don't know
basic
what if
wash.
this is still the standard. The old requirement for tournament play was that every model had to have 3 paint colors on it.
Yeah, so there's the crown jewel of the set.
But it didn't actually say it had to be painted in anything like that actually looked good. In theory, you could be like, I just slapped some green on the legs and some red on the torso and some blue on the head.
Right.
You know?
Yep. Yeah. It's like, why is his middle finger the only thing that's painted? I don't get it. So there's the dragon, and yeah, he said, oh, I was gonna glue the wing, but I never did, and I'm kind of glad I didn't because so I could just use some sticky tack to fit that together. Actually, not sure how it's supposed to, because it doesn't like snap into place.
Yeah, how's it supposed to stay in?
You're not supposed to have to glue it.
Yeah, so then what was the intended? Yeah, is there a different posture where it stays put or something? Weird. Still a pretty impressive looking dragon.
Yeah, because I don't think it's the other way. I wouldn't. No, that wouldn't make sense.
No, I don't. Yeah, that doesn't look right. That dragon's a wyvern.
Daddy, help me! I can't get it. Here, son. Let me show you how it's done. So anyway, yeah, it's a dragon. Isn't a wyvern or a wyvern or
Because it does
know?
slide together.
It's supposed to be like a serpent with wings.
Oh, black. Jacer, I don't think I knew that. Black doesn't count?
Oh,
Huh.
because you prime it.
Well, you don't have to prime it black. Lots of people primed in other colors.
It's
A lot of people primed in gray.
it's really really dark gray. Now this guy's almost cooler than the dragon. A dinosaur. And actually, it's funny
Wow.
that that model of dinosaur looks a lot like the dollar store dinosaurs that I had as a kid. Like you go to the supermarket and
Yeah.
the kids playing, crying, and mom and dad are like, ah, here's your little pack of dinosaurs. Have fun. And it's like, but
Yeah.
then just model him a little bit differently and throw an orc on top
Mm-hmm.
with a couple of weapons. See how it's stuck to the face? Yes, it is. So that is
Dino
awesome.
Riders.
Well, and Stephen Baker designed a game that's nothing but dinosaurs with people riding them and stuff. And yeah, Dino Riders were pretty awesome. I remember saving up my allowance for the T-Rex.
Yeah, never got into Dino
50
Riders. I
bucks.
just saw the ads many years later.
There was a cartoon as well, and I think there was
Mm.
a comic as well. But yeah, it was just really basic little action figures,
There was some funny
decent
stuff back in
dinosaurs,
the
and then
90s.
yeah, just a lot of
I
that elf
was
looks pretty sweet.
so enthralled for a while by I don't know, remember
That kind of
King
looked.
Arthur and the Knights of Justice,
Oh yeah, the Knights of Justice. I remember that.
the football team that got
Yep.
sent back to King Arthur's court.
Yeah, they had the right build to wear the armor. See, now if this
Right.
guy's helmet was just a little bit more overdone, it would be like a Games Workshop elf. Totally.
Yeah. Yeah, actually that's not honestly you'd probably get away if you had a bunch of those, you could
Yeah.
probably get away with it.
And he's the only one of his kind. So
Right.
yeah, it's
That's what
like
I'm saying is
it's like Mortal
if you,
Kombat.
if you
that
had a whole
gather
bunch, you could
people
rank
from-
them all up and they'd be
Yeah, the idea of
Warhammer,
this
but
the idea of this game is you gather these warriors from all time periods to fight for justice or injustice.
for great justice.
For great justice to take off all zig. Yeah. So these are much bigger than I thought. When I saw these online, I thought, oh, these are just like tiny things. But people have made like tons. This is just like cardstock. This is really thin.
Yeah.
It's kind of got a shiny finish. But yeah, people have made just tons of custom things, and these are just like photos of the figures. So you can just like print these out. And so miniatures that are out there to buy from these different catalogs, people have made. Like people have made Space Marine ones, for example. And I still see to this day, even though HeroScape is gone from stores since 2012, I still see like it'll be like, oh, here's a box of die-cast like DC superheroes or something, and they're the exact right size to
Yeah.
be figures, and it's like, okay, all you do is just put the picture on there, throw in some stats, done. Transformers, Marvel superheroes, whatever. So you've got all these. Okay, so got the Zetian guards. Silverius is the elf. Tarn Viking warriors. Grimnack. So now people that are nostalgic for this, Deathwalker 9000. Hey, I can get behind that. People that are nostalgic are like, wait, no, you're skipping the good part. You're skipping the one that I liked.
Yeah.
Raylan the Kyrie warrior. Like, I don't know the lore at all for this, but after watching all those passionate fans on the Avalon Hill Discord, waiting and then seeing the deadline come for the HasLab campaign and seeing it fail, Krav Maga agents.
Maga. That's a
Yeah.
martial art.
Ah.
That's a weird thing to call the agents. The Krav Maga agents? Like, what?
Yeah. Well, hey, if it works, if the shoe fits. But anyway, yeah, it's like, yeah, just watching all that just kind of got me thinking, like, maybe I should give this game a try. And I found a good deal. Like
Yeah.
my limit is kind of like, oh, there he is. My limit is like $200. Like, I don't want to spend more than $200 on a game. That's kind of my self-imposed limit, and it better be darn good for that price too. This
I
guy,
found
Deathwalker
a
9000. So that's a heavy figure. I mean,
yeah.
that's
I
hard.
found an open copy. It was open, but like all the minis I think were still on the sprues, all the like tiles or whatever else, all the pieces weren't assembled yet
Oh, sweet.
of Mutant Chronicles some years back for a really reasonable price.
Doom Troopers.
I unfortunately haven't really gotten a whole lot of use out of it, but I am not sorry that I
Yeah. Well, I think this
that game is a lot of fun. The mechanic that they used there, like that
Jacer.
game really does what that game actually was designed to do what kind of the European version of HeroQuest was sort of play acting at. This idea of like, well, they're, you know, you're working toward the same goal, but you're also competing with one another at the same time. Like that game is just explicitly designed around that premise.
Well, what about Space Crusade though? Because with that one you're getting points, and so yes, everybody's working against the aliens, but they are
I
trying
can't.
for the highest
Yeah,
score and ranking and
I can't speak
leveling
to
up.
Space Crusade because I'm not familiar with it.
See, I'm not familiar with this other game, this
Yeah,
Mutant Chronicles.
Mutant Chronicles was you're like a band of mercenary space marines who have to go in and fight all these evil mutant space marines.
Oh,
It's
cool.
kind of, I mean, it's kind of very
Space
Hero
Crusade.
Quest like, only in the future.
Yeah. Well, then,
Lots of plastic minis and
there was that attempt to revive Space Crusade not long ago, but it was with like bikini girls.
yeah,
Like
jeez,
it's like, okay, well, they thought that would be the hook, but it didn't go
yeah,
anywhere. Well, and then there was a successful attempt, sort of. It was called Star Saga, and that's the one that has the starship terrain included in the box. But it looks like
Mhm.
with that one they were going for a straight up dungeon crawler, like an actual sci-fi hero quest rather than Space Crusade, which just has some passing similarities with Hero Quest. It's not.
Oh, it looks like this game got revived at some point.
So Jacer shared a big,
When was
awesome
this
picture.
released?
Dragon
This
in
was
the train tunnel. Oh, okay. So Jacer,
oh, huh,
so Jacer,
apparently.
you've got Hero Quest, you've got Battle Masters, and you also have HeroScape. You probably, it's like you and Amalgamash have like every game. Seems like.
So, unbeknownst to me, it looks like they actually remade Mutant Chronicles in 2019.
Wow.
And now it looks like they've got like expansion packs and stuff.
And I want to say to
I have
Amalgamash,
I have the classic one from 1993.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that
Mutant Chronicles. Okay,
at the time I bought it. The new one didn't exist yet.
I'll have to look it up on. Actually, you know what? Let me just look it up now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to
It's
say to
called-
Amalgamash, it's safe to come back to our Discord now. We're done ranting about D&D.
Oh, is that why he left?
Well, I'm not going to spill everything, but I think he was a little bit overwhelmed by just how much
Yeah.
rage was happening over that. It's like, and I understand he goes for more, the positive, constructive, game stuff. But I mean, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of negativity, but at the same time, I mean, it did something good, which was it got Wizards of the Coast to respond in a positive way. First, they were kind of in denial about it, and they got Paizo to get their thing going with Pathfinder, so people are fired up about Pathfinder. It's like, hey, that's awesome. But yeah, I mean, some people just want everybody to get along, and it's kind of like, okay, I don't want to see my parents fighting, you know. Okay, so let's see here. Let's just go to, yeah, Jacer's showing some cool stuff. So Board Game Geek, and it's called Mutant Chronicle.
Yeah, Mutant Chronicles, Siege of the Citadel.
Siege of the Citadel, 1993.
Yep. And I'm assuming it looks like it's probably a more or less straight remake to me, the newer one, but
Yeah. Yeah, I'd never heard. I mean, I'd heard of. There was a video game. I think it was a video game called Doom.
yeah,
Doom
there's
Troopers, the Mutant
there's
Chronicle
other stuff in this.
franchise.
It seems like there's other stuff in the franchise or building off the brand name.
Doom Troopers, the Mutant Chronicles. So it's like, okay, that's something. Siege of the Citadel. Age 10 plus, and the community agrees. I like that part of Board Game Geek. Is they
Oh, that the community gets to weigh in and say what do we think is the appropriate age? Yeah. But yeah, it's explicitly was designed around the lines of like, well, you're constantly weighing
Oh,
this.
I see what you mean. Yeah, there's definitely a artistic resemblance. This almost looks like Space Hulk in a lot of ways. Yeah. I like the aesthetic of it.
Yeah, it's cool looking,
Mhm.
and
if I were like 10 years old and I got this like for Christmas or something, you're like, wow, this is awesome. Let's play it right now.
yeah. But it really the style of gameplay really intrigued me because I didn't personally own anything like it. Well, no. What I was going to say is it's you're constantly every moment when you're playing, you're weighing
Ranks.
the risk and reward of like, do I support my team, my fellow players, or do I try to like cut them off and inhibit them? Like you have a suite of cards where like they can be, a lot of them can be played either as like a boon for you, or you can like screw over one of your ostensible teammates in the middle of their turn.
How funny is that? Okay, so someone just covered their staircase. So 3, 4, 5, 6,
That's
7,
funny.
8, 9, 10, 11. Now that's flexing.
Yeah, that's a lot of copies of a classic.
And they're all
because you're very explicitly like it's you're trying to win the game like by beating the other players.
So, some of the Board Game Geek stuff, like you can tell that they've got their own like modified stuff, and so I just want to see what the original game looked like. But I don't blame people for wanting to show off their stuff too.
It does have an actual 3-dimensional centerpiece.
Yep.
That's not. That's
that
you
reminds
like climb
me
up.
Yeah.
And
the Mission Dreadnought for Space Crusade had but I mean it wasn't that elaborate. It wasn't that big.
Yeah, basically, like there are these mutant enemies that you have to destroy in this labyrinth that is different each time a little bit.
That thing is raised. It looks like candy tray plastic.
Yeah, it's a little more solid than that, I think, but it's not. Yeah, it's not that, but it's.
I don't know. In my head, I keep thinking like I don't want to play one of these games. It's like a modular thing, unless I know I've got a really big table.
Yeah,
but I suppose you probably, I don't know. Does this game have a GM or is it all random?
It does, but it rotates. It's like random.
Interesting.
So that's what I was saying. Is it's both a cooperative and competitive game where basically like every enemy that you personally kill with one of your troopers gives you points. Any enemy that your allies kill does not give you points.
Yeah, shout out to Pliskin from
Yeah.
Italy, who's Metal, who has these photos.
Yeah.
This is all
Wow.
Board Game Geek. Okay, so yeah, I never knew anything about this game, so
Yeah, so it's like,
something
you know,
new.
that's what I was getting at, is you're competing at the same time. Like, you need to work together to some extent in order to successfully complete the mission, and you want to complete the mission
totally.
because you get a nice big bonus of points for completing a mission successfully.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you want to, you know, if at all possible, you want your troops to get the lion's share of the kills.
Hands
You know? So if you can do something to cut off your allies' ability to actually be in position to shoot down the enemies without, you know, risking getting yourselves killed, then you actually want to do that. And the way that the GM role works is it's randomly picked from one of... So every player is from one of these, like, factions, right? You've got the Capital or something? I forget what it's called. Imperial, Cybertronic, Mishima, Capital, Bauhaus. Yeah, and before each mission, one of you gets randomly picked to be the bad guys.
It was him.
But if you score points as the bad guys, those points count toward your faction in the next mission when the person playing the bad guy will rotate. So you're really incentivized to do your best to get them to fail. It's like if you get the troopers to fail the mission, you get like a whole bunch of points, and you're the only one who comes out of the mission with points.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if you succeed at completing the mission, everyone gets a certain amount of points for having won. Except whoever was playing the bad guy.
Sounds like it's definitely got a lot of potential strategy, but the learning curve isn't that bad. I mean, it can't be if it's
It's not terrible, no. Yeah, it's pretty simple.
I figure like 12 and up games, those can be harder to just pick up. Like if you're just going to drop it in the midst of a group and say, "Let's play this," and then
no, I mean, like the reason I bought it is because someone I knew had a copy and brought it to a game night thing once, and yeah, we just sat it down and played it, and it was fine.
I like the aesthetic.
Yeah,
it brings me
pretty.
back to
it's got some funky designs for sure.
Big heads, big hands, basic poses.
Yeah, very very early. Yeah, it's similar to the that HeroQuest era GW work.
Yeah, it's like
big heads, big hands.
We've got better sculpting techniques now. Yeah, but it had a certain
charm.
Yes, definitely. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for that little segue then of showing a cool game. Yeah. So, but I don't need to buy any more games right now.
Yeah.
Now this.
I mean, I guess the nice thing though is that it seems like they remade it, so it's not some crazy vintage thing you have to find on the secondary market anymore.
See how much it costs? Because I mean, some recent things like the remake of Space Hulk that came out in 2014, like that's like $300. So that's kind of out. Not that I was that interested in Space Hulk. I mean, I looked at the various games and I thought, of these, Space Crusade is the one that has the most appeal to me, so I went for that one. But I mean, I could have thrown in and gotten Space Hulk. But yeah, so like they had this same piece in the remake version, but it was just, didn't have this shading on it. And this is kind of a hard, I don't know my plastics, but this kind of reminds me of the plastic that they used for the mirror bases in Mage of the Mirror. Yeah, it almost looks like that rubble. Could work. But I mean, I think this is the only scenery. There's no like plants, there's no like columns or anything like that. Dark World. Yeah. Dark World had cool 3D board, also co-op competitive. And Jacer, isn't Dark World the one where you had removable weapons for the heroes? Like you could actually like pull the sword out and put the spear in. I know a lot of people use that for proxying.
Speaking of 3D, do we have anybody on the Discord who splurged for the giant like 3D printed HeroQuest board?
3D printed? I don't know. I mean,
there's a pattern. You can find a bunch of different people on Etsy offering it for sale. Like,
there's
a
3D. They would be showing it off if they were. Because
Yeah, so we
there's
don't.
people on Ye Olde Inn, but I assume that those people just made it themselves. Like they
Well,
modeled
there's
it.
like the people who are just kind of
I just want to buy it.
homebrewing. There's homebrewing people, but no,
Like,
I mean
okay,
this is
$500. Go
somebody
ahead.
made it. Yeah, it's a
Chop it up.
ridiculously expensive.
Well, yeah, the hours and hours it probably took to, either 3D
The
print
amount
or
of
make it out of
the amount of
clay
material.
or wood.
Yeah, this one's made out of resin, I think.
I
But
appreciate the people. I mean, that's awesome, but I appreciate the people. They just take a bunch of foam and just cut it
right,
up
and then
and
they
spray
just
paint
kind of
it, and it
they
looks
just kind
great
of
on
put it together.
camera.
Yeah.
On camera,
Yep.
it looks perfect. Yeah, in real life, it's like, oh, it's just barely glued on there, but who cares?
Yeah, this is Dragon's Rest, I think, is the designer.
Yeah, that sounds familiar. I think I used to look at a lot of their stuff.
Yeah, they made a
Okay, so there's a little bit of paint chipped off on some of these, but I mean, look at these just big, huge.
yep.
Like, so this saves you a lot of time. You don't have to like put
Oh yeah,
one by one by one by
some of
one
those
by
are
one.
like 6 of them joined together, whatever.
Well, and I've
Or
seen pictures. They'll take like all the sets that the person owns, like hundreds and hundreds of dollars worth of stuff, and they'll just like assemble this something that covers like an entire like 9-foot table, and it's stacked
yeah.
up like several feet high. So you've got lots, and I think this is all terrain. So I guess it's just stone and grass, and line of sight matters, and terrain can matter. I guess some of that is these are optional rules. Okay, what are all these things? Yeah, see, this is like the opposite of Space Crusade. Space Crusade, this would all be cardboard. I mean, you had a decent amount of miniatures, but the amount of plastic in this box is insane. So I'm not sure what that's used for. Jacer says regular and gold weapon. Oh yeah, talking about Dark World again. 2 or 3 attack dice. Yeah, see, I mean, if I were Amalgamash and I could write it off as a business expense, maybe I would try to track down some of these other games. But I mean, I have the nostalgia for HeroQuest. Space Crusade was just kind of a fluke that I wanted to dive into it.
Yeah.
Same with HeroScape, but it's like, how many of these games? I mean, Battle Masters. Yeah, it's like, okay, eventually it's like you have so many games. It's like, okay, well, we have our choice. I have a dozen games, and you can pick one, and we'll play one per week.
Yeah, we kind of have to, you got to maintain some game discipline because you just can't.
Yeah.
You can't. You're not actually going to find the time to play all of your games extensively.
I buy games to play them, not just to collect them.
Yep.
Because you could do that. But then it's almost like collecting like NECA figures. Like, who cares? It's just going to stay in the box, and it doesn't really mean anything except the idea that you own it. And you're going to sell it to someone else who's going to do the same thing. I'd rather enjoy it, appreciate it.
Custom Witchlord spell cards. These look like they're made for the EU version of the game.
An elevation matter and HeroScape, or mix them all. What are you looking at now?
Somebody on Etsy has custom Witchlord spell cards, which are in the European format. Looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Oh,
of course,
is that
because the EU version doesn't have
is that less
spells?
Is that less?
No. Well, I don't know. It's Heroic Adventurers is the name of the store.
Because there's actually people on Ye Olde Inn that actually sell some of that stuff.
Oh no. Yep. That is. Sorry. You're right. That is less Dante.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I was like, are you offering that stuff for free too, or are you just selling it? I mean, I guess you can. There's no open game license for HeroQuest. But I'm not sure what this is. These are like
it's definitely
white stickers.
That's an interesting, like, if they wanted to, could they give him trouble? I don't know.
Because people do. Well, see, the Sunday Quest just had to change its name because it was like HeroQuest Adventures. It's Sunday Quest Adventures, and Dungeons Quest.
Yeah.
So unofficial product. But I mean, yeah, people are selling custom HeroQuest stuff, and apparently they don't care. For now.
Yeah, it's like,
and I'm okay with that.
Like, you can make and sell something.
The only thing that
is like compatible with HeroQuest, right? Like,
yeah, You
But
absolutely
making
can.
something that intentionally is like very deliberately copying the art style
Well,
and the font and the
if you're
format,
making
like
something, I think if you're making something that's just pirated, okay, no.
yeah,
And if you, well, it's scummy, but I don't think they've done anything about it yet. Like the one guy that sells just stuff that he printed off of Yield In, like he's just
yeah,
selling it. Like
that's pretty
he's been
yeah, that's
reported
pretty
a
low.
lot, and he still sells his stuff. So apparently eBay doesn't care enough,
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just looking at this, right?
or
And
he's
it's like
got a million
these,
accounts.
his stuff, right? It's using HeroQuest mechanics on the cards, like it's not some sort of generic
It's an
fantasy
expansion. It's
thing.
a mod. He's made a mod
Yeah,
for HeroQuest and he's selling it. So I don't have a problem with that. And I mean, if it were
yeah, I don't have a problem with it, but I wonder whether
the
if they
company,
chose to, would they be able
well,
to get
part of
that
me,
shut
if,
down?
and I hate to say it, but part of me is thinking like everything's really nice right now. But
Yep.
if HeroQuest becomes as big as D&D, they're gonna crack down on everything.
Yep.
Then again,
And well,
then again,
and
for
the
20
quality
years,
of
for 20
yeah,
years, people can
and
do
the
whatever they
quality
want.
of the stuff that they produce will probably change, and the nature of the stuff, right?
Hmm.
Like, we're already getting more monetization of the brand than existed back in the day, right? Like we're getting these hero packs, we're getting, you know,
Well, it depends on your perspective. From the North American perspective, absolutely. But like the EU folks, I mean, the Brits, they got like the jigsaw puzzles and the White Dwarf magazines and the Marvel special and the Adventure Design Kit, and
true.
they had the, yeah, not just the expansions. They
Although a
had the
lot of that
novels.
wasn't adding new game pieces, right? I
You're
don't
right.
know.
You're right. You're right. Because the White Dwarf stuff was all getting you to buy other Citadel miniatures that were in
Right, it
their
was like
catalog.
you need to have some Skaven minis for this,
Yeah, you need to
like
take some Warhammer miniatures and use them in this. And they did the same thing for Space Crusade. And the
yeah,
novels, it's like, okay, yeah, this is just use your existing assets to just here's a
yep,
quest, or the
yep.
magazine. But like the Marvel Winter Special, it's like, okay, it's a comic book, but you're expected to like cut it out with scissors or like photocopy the tiles. It's like, it's not an ideal solution. But I guess you could have glued it to, you know, uh, some chipboard and you'd be all set.
Yeah. That would sort of be the thing I would worry about is if it got too big, it would actually then the quality and the kind of
Mm-hmm.
way that the content production was being treated would probably under pressure start changing. It'd be like,
Yeah,
oh,
because
these hero packs sell really well. You need to start putting out 4 a year. And it's like, well, at a certain point, there's like hero fatigue. It's like, how many
yeah,
new heroes are you going to introduce to the game?
yeah, like
Like, honestly,
combinations.
I'm kind of happy with the number. Not
Well, they
necessarily
they
like I don't.
become so gimmicky. It's like, okay, you got the guy with
Yeah,
5 body points, the guy with 6 got body points, the guy with 7 body points. Okay, the guy that gets his spell back if this
yeah,
very specific, scenario happens. And it's like, oh, he sometimes has a chance to do this. It's like, yeah, I just want the iconic characters. Well,
yeah. I mean, it's like
like
I'm pretty happy with the ones they've added, but I would probably be quite satisfied if no more
yeah,
new hero types were ever introduced. I'm like,
we need more
9
monsters.
feels like
Monsters,
enough.
monsters are good. Keep giving us monsters
Keep giving monsters, right? But
and
I don't
furniture.
necessarily need more new heroes.
Yeah.
New hero sculpts, sure.
Yeah, you're gonna get people saying, "Hey, I've painted everything. I need more stuff to paint. Give me
Yeah.
more. Give me more." So
Well,
a game
but
like this, though, like HeroScape, like I could imagine myself when this came out and was popular. If I were still buying board games, I would have been like, "No, I'm not gonna get this. I know what your scheme is. You're gonna try to get me to buy all these extra armies and buy all this extra."
yeah, a million expansions
Yeah,
and
all this extra terrain and everything. It's like, nope, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to go half with my friends, or we're going to put our sets together to make an ultimate set. That's what we're going to do. But now that it's a dead game, now I feel like safe buying it like this because it's like, yeah, this is fine. I
one
can
of the
get a
things.
good taste of what the game was, enjoy it, and
Yep.
I was thinking, hey, I can use my Space Crusade guys on these. I can use my battle mechs on here. I mean, this terrain could be used for anything, really. Could do those crossovers. So
Yeah. I mean, this
use
is,
your
this
imagination.
is you were talking about Star Wars fandom earlier,
Hmm. It's too much.
alluding to how we don't necessarily like continued expansion of the content.
But
You know,
more
it's kind of
money,
like,
more money has to be made. But see, the thing is, there's that strategy. It's like, okay, first you get everyone in the world as your customer.
yeah,
It's like, no. We just gotta milk this small community for everything they're worth until they absolutely are puking it out and hate it and don't want it anymore. Then you move
yeah.
on. And it felt like that's what
Well,
they were doing with D&D. It's like, okay, let's just squeeze and squeeze and squeeze
hmm
the people we've got. It's
well,
like,
yeah.
no, expand. And yes, you are gonna have people that
Well, and
don't
make better books.
make better books. Yeah, make better quality products. But yes, you may have a time where the kids whip out their phone and play, the totally digital D&D, and that's all they know. And they buy the, microtransactions, and it's like, you run into your crazy old uncle, and he's like, "Oh, I got it in a book." Book? What's a book? Old man. It's like, "Here, let me show you." It's like, "All right." But I mean, those they exist in parallel,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, but what I was going to say is Star Wars. Like I've got,
Star Wars, yeah.
I've
Gotcha.
invested in and kept my, and I, even augmented it years after the game went out of print. But my old collection of the Decipher Star Wars card game, that was at one time the, like the second most successful card game in the world.
Customizable card game.
Yeah, the Star Wars CCG. But one
I
of the
remember that.
reason I still kind
It's
of,
like high school for me.
yeah, me too. Maybe
Yeah.
even before, like middle school, something like that.
Yeah.
Middle school, high school, around
I
that
didn't
time.
have it, but I mean, I had a couple of friends
You
that
were
had it.
aware of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't play Magic the
But
Gathering either,
one
but
of
it's
the
just like, oh yeah,
things,
I know what
but
that
yeah,
is.
one of the things I like about it, the reason it still has appeal for me, is that it's dead.
Hmm. Yeah.
I don't have to worry about them continually coming out with more. And
Well, but see, it's like have to worry. It's like they rope you in. You feel you're missing out if you don't get it.
well,
Or
it's one of the things I
you
don't
can't
like
you
about
can't
card
stay you
games
can't stay
is,
competitive. You can't stay competitive if you don't keep up with the
yeah,
new releases.
right.
There's that
Well, and
aspect of it.
Star Wars too, right? I think has something like that where it's a licensed property. You have
You're
a
missing
you
out
you
on the story, the real
Well, no,
story.
but you have a weird situation, right? Where like they made cards, they made a sufficient number of sets based on all the films. So at
Oh,
that point, it's like, well,
they've completed it.
if they're going to try and keep coming out with content, that content's going to be scraping. They're going to be scraping the bottom of the barrel more and more, and it's going to be more and more fringe. It's like, like, okay,
Han
how many?
Solo in vacation gear.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like you get with action figures and
Yep.
stuff.
Oh, it's Donatello, but he's got like a different bandana.
I mean, it's already
His head
got,
spins around.
it's already got a whole slew of versions of all the main characters to represent their progression as growth
This is not
through the series.
These aren't the original cotton balls, so sorry
Yeah.
about that. Hey, it's snow. It's snow terrain. It's the cloud
Right.
level. The cloud level.
Is that that was just packing material, right?
Yeah. So the original candy trays are not included. So the guy that sold it to me he wrapped these painstakingly up in cotton, and now I've unwrapped them all.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what you get in the box. It's ridiculous, and this box is like really packed in there. I mean, this is just like a small little cardboard box, but I like the Velcro window, although it only shows you like one of the characters, but it tells you exactly what you get. So
Oh yeah. You got
24
the
hex
little.
tiles, 10
That's
7
like
hex tiles.
it's like what the boxes that old Lego sets used to
Yeah,
come in would
I
do.
love that
You'd have the
because
little
you want
window.
to see what's in there.
Yep.
And sometimes the pictures may vary, so you're like, is it really that cool? It's like, okay, show me what it actually looks like, and that's what it is. So that's HeroScape, and
Very
I
cool.
pulled out the
It's a lot of figures.
Now
In the
I
end.
got to remember where I put the manual because there's these two manuals, and they were like the cheapest looking paper ever. Like they weren't like nice printed manuals. They were just like almost like those little flyers you get like when they're having a sale at JCPenney, and you would get the little. Well, that's really dating me there, but yeah, it's like it's not the glossy stuff. It's just like magazine uh, stuff. But anyway, there was like one book that had the rules, and the other had the master rules. But yeah, that's the only other component in there. But I set it aside because I didn't want it to get bent up, and now I don't remember where I put it. So I can't really show it on screen. Darn.
Whoops.
Well, part 2, HeroScape Part 2. Okay. Yeah, mix them all. Well, I've got a big mess to clean up, but did you guys want to say anything else tonight about any RantCast topics? Just got Jacer and Ribby in the chat.
Yeah.
Karningul, Ribby, and Jace. Jacer, you haven't been saying anything. Are you? Has everybody gone to sleep?
Yeah, his mic's been muted. I don't know.
I'm still here.
Well, it's good to have you all. Yeah, I like the fact that our community is big enough that I can just kind of like randomly like say, "Oh, I'm gonna stream," and we can count on you to show up and say something. Yeah, it's just not the same without Strange Bus, but I understand. He's got other stuff he's got to do, so. Yep. Yeah, we haven't been doing this show as regularly. We were trying to do it every other week. Oh yeah, the shield is a sticker. It's actually like a decal there. Just realized. Yeah. But the plan was every other Thursday we do a rant cast for 2 hours. I guess we've gone a little longer today, and then Friday it's been Space Crusade, although I've just been doing craft streams too because we haven't had players. I think every so often we'll get somebody who's really itching to play, and so we'll get them in a game. But if those people aren't around, we just do other stuff. And then Saturdays we've been doing HeroQuest whenever we can. But this weekend is totally up in the air. Like I may be gone, so Friday and Saturday I'm just going to say no streams. But if those plans fall through, I'll probably do like a last minute stream. Maybe we'll play a little bit of HeroQuest or something. So anyway, thank you guys for showing up. Audio was cutting in and out on Twitch. Oh, okay. I see Jacer. Wi-Fi isn't the greatest. Yeah, technical issues. What else is new? I can relate. I can totally relate. I mean, a stream where I don't have issues with my system. Yeah, that's the last one, and the world is ending. So, yeah, I don't have much else to say. So, anything you guys want to plug here at the end? I mean, check out HeroQuest fans on Discord, of course.
I mean, anyone at some point, I don't know.
Play
I don't
Mutant
know if there are any viewers here who wouldn't know anyway, but you know, I've got my Quest remixes shared. If anyone else wants to use them, they can feel free.
They're shared on the Discord?
I shared a link at one point. They're shared out of my Google Drive.
Yeah.
I'll keep posting links from time to time.
Yeah, put it in. So we've got our custom creations.
Yep.
And if you've got a video, you can put in videos or a website. I guess it's a shared drive, like you say, so probably custom creations is the best. And once again, I just want to thank Ribby for all his work creating those mentor bots with the mentor bot with the dice rolling function. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, let's keep on improving on it.
Yeah. So you got the Mutant Chronicles. Yeah, I wouldn't have even thought to look up a board game associated with that title. So I learned something new. All right. Well, I guess we'll just put Karl Casey WhiteBatAudio on YouTube back on to play us out. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a great night.
See ya. Yeah, I should go to bed.
Yeah, get some rest. RantCast. All right, everybody have a good night.